Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is TituElite and we are back in F1 Manager 24, this time around with the ultimate guide, the Create a Team mode edition. And this guide could help you a lot on your current save with the Create a Team mode, or if you want to dive in the Create a Team mode, you can use this guide to get the best save that you can have in this game. And on this tutorial I'm going to cover some sections: the create your team, the off-race mechanics, the in-race mechanics, my advice to you for your save game, and the long run, what you should expect from your create a team mode if you follow these guides and my advice. In the create a team mode we've got setting up your team, basically meaning when you start a new save, setting up your team. On the off-race mechanics we are going to delve with the team dashboard, which you are going to be presented with after starting a new game, and the other screens that you've got available for you. Then we've got the sponsors package, which is going to be your first decision, major decision. Then we'll talk about a little bit about car development and what the car parts each one do to your car. Then we'll talk about a little bit of facilities, and I'll give you advice on the facilities that you should be working on. Then we'll deal with the sponsor plan. After you set up the sponsor packages, you have to do sponsor plan in certain points of the season. And finally we are going to talk about the race targets, which is the last thing you are going to do before entering a race weekend. Then after entering the race weekend we are going to talk about in-race mechanics, so starting with the driver orders, what you should do in the practice sessions. Yes, you should do the practice sessions, at least for the first season. I know it's a little bit dull and boring to say the least, but you should do it to avoid crashes and use the most out of your car parts, aero parts and powertrain parts. Then qualifying sessions, and after that finally the race. Then I'll give you my advice on what you should do in the first season, starting with the plan for the first season, and research and research. Research is going to be your best friend in the first season, and honestly in the second season as well. And then we'll take a peek at the long run. I'm going to show you what the first season ending should look like if you follow this guide, what you should do in season number 2, then the season number 2 ending, where you should be a very force to be reckoned with already, and finally what you should do in season 3, and you should have the car that is a total domination. So let's get started. In order to get into the Create a Team mode, you got here the Create a Team logo or icon. Rest on that. Yeah, we've got an autosave going on. If you see in the background, this is my save that I've been running on the channel. You can follow that, and I have a playlist for that, for my Create a Team mode, the TituElite Racing Team. But we are going to start a brand new one to show you what you should do. You got a cutscene, but I'm going to skip that. I don't want to spoil anything for you. So, first things you are presented with is the team name. We are going to edit that into the ultimate guide racing team. Come on, racing. Oh, wait, can't I? Oh, is that? I think I've reached the limit, the character limit. Okay, so let's not put the race then. Ultimate guide then. And you got 6 origins that you can choose from. The first one being your story, where you can define almost everything that you want to set up. The second one, you are a hungry newcomer, meaning A low tier car, very low tier facilities, low tier drivers and low tier staff. That's a big challenge. Technical breakthrough where you got the best car around, but you have poor facilities, medium drivers and very good staff. A thing to note here is that you got powertrain Mercedes, which is very good. I do recommend the Mercedes, but we'll talk about a little bit after this. Here is Renault. The fourth one is the Phoenix Rising. Okay, so a low tier car, very good facilities, low tier drivers and medium staff, starting with Renault. The fifth one is the Industria Giant, where you got a good car, very top car. Medium facilities, very good drivers and very good stuff. And finally, the last one, the Automotive Legacy, where you take on a team that was very prominent in the past, and you got a medium car, medium facilities, medium drivers and medium staff, so medium all around with the Honda powertrain engine. But for this tutorial we are going to write our own story, and I'm going to start as worst as possible, so if you start better than me you should have even better results, but I will show you with the worst start possible that it's possible for you to reach season 3 and totally dominate every single team that is on the grid. So next step, team setup. Okay, the team setup, I'm going to lower the starting balance. You can start with max 40 million, but I'm going to lower that to 2 million. It's the bare minimum. Infrastructures, I'm going to tick off to -1, to not -1, to 1 star. And car performance, I'm going to do exactly the same. So the worst car, the lowest amount of money possible, and the lowest facilities possible. I do recommend you to edit here the facilities. It's something you can do. So the car development facilities, I wouldn't change that at all. I would keep that as it is. The staff facilities, exactly the same. I wouldn't touch this with a bar pole. But here on the operation facilities, I do recommend you to do something, which is taking off the boardroom and put it on the hospitality area. And the same here for the weather center. You can take off the weather center and put it on the memorabilia room, for instance. Why is that? Because hospitality area and memorabilia room gives you team marketability, and that's very important for the sponsors that you get. And the higher the sponsors, the more money that you get, and you are going to need a lot of money because we are starting with 2 million. You can do whatever you want if you start with a starting balance higher than this, but with the lowest starting balance, I do recommend you to do that. So next, it's going to be the team members. One thing that I did in my own playthrough, and I'm going to do exactly that because I don't hate myself that much, is that I chose good stuff, and I'm going to do that, but generated stuff only. So let's do exactly that. Let's put generated only, and I'm going to filter by H. Can I filter by H? Oh, that's interesting that I cannot filter by H. So let's start with the highest rating, 35-year-old. Okay, that's a very good guy. I do recommend you to get the staff under the 40-year-old, but this is too good for us. So 43, no. 40, that's a good option. Quando a decina. But let's see, lower even. Okay, 36-year-old, 2 million. It's only 1 million less than the best one, so I could choose the best one, to be honest, because this is not too expensive and he's even younger. So let's choose him. Why not? Then the head of aerodynamics. This is 46. I don't want that old. 42, no. 39. Okay, this is going to be this guy, Ricardo Santos. He has a Portuguese name even, and I'm Portuguese, so that's cool. The sporting director. This is very important. The sporting director is the one that cares about your pit stops, so I do recommend you to choose a high level one. Unfortunately, we are dealt with only this young lady, 38-year-old Ying Lang, 83, not the best, but okay, let's choose her. And now the race engineers, we got good options here. Robert Urban with 32-year-old only, so I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to choose her because she's under 40 as well. Okay, good. So in terms of staff, we are all dealt with, and in terms of drivers, as I said, I don't hate me that much, so I'm going to choose young drivers. I do recommend you to do that as well. Only real drivers. I mean, in this case, you can choose generated ones, and I'm going to choose, let's say, Theo Porcher, which is a favorite of this channel, and I know he has a good improvement rate. So Theo Porcher for car number 1. For car number 2, I'm going to choose a little bit lower. In my playthrough, I chose Berman. I think I will change around this time. Berman is the youngest one, so he's a good option. Yeah, he's a very good option, to be honest. But I'm going to choose in this playthrough Mr. Pepe Marti. So yeah, that's done. With the drivers chosen and the staff aligned, we can advance to the powertrain selection. And here, I do recommend you to choose Mercedes. Why is that? Power is not the best. It's the second worst even. As you can see, Ferrari 95, Honda 100, Renault 80, Mercedes 90. But the durability, man, the durability, 80, 70, 70. 80 on engine, 70 on ERS, 70 on gearbox, meaning 73, 62 and 55 for the Renault, the Honda 60, 50 and 62, and finally the Ferrari 68, 57 and 50. So in terms of durability, the Mercedes is the best. Not the best in fuel efficiency, but it doesn't matter too much because you are going to run in conserve in your first season, because you are going to have a low cooling of the engine, and your engine is going to run hot if you don't run in conserve. So choose Mercedes. It's going to save you a lot of money and save you a lot of trouble. Now the team branding, here you can do whatever you want. I'm going to keep all in default. So this gray car, all this in default. Let's continue. And finally, the team principal is where you define your name. So let's do it. And I'm going to be called Ultimate Guide. So the Ultimate Guide principal will manage the Ultimate Guide team. So I'm not a first time manager, but you can tick that, and or you have only two options. Okay, you can tick the first time manager, and in last year's game and 2 years before that, the first time manager, you will get free suspension, level 2 suspension. Not that important, especially for the first season, because you are not going to fight for points. You are only to fight for your target, which will be 7 or higher, I think, or 6 or higher, we'll see. And that's your main objective, and survive and have money. Survive without getting into debt, have money, trying to get a little bit better facilities, and of course not reaching the cost cap or not surpassing the cost cap. If you can get down to 0 on the cost cap, that's very good. So hard difficulty on everything. So if you choose anything less than this and a better start with this guide, you should shine even before season number 3, I think. So starting a new game on hard, let's confirm. And now we are going to go into the second topic here of our guide, the off-race mechanics, and you are going to be presented with the team dashboard. And here we are in the team dashboard. Every single piece of this dashboard or section of this dashboard is clickable. If you click this, you are going to end up on the board. Here on this icon, we are going to navigate on this bar section. So take note that every single one of this is clickable and you can do stuff with it. So first things first, the message, the inbox. You got only one, welcoming you with Ramon Espinosa. Then the calendar. This is very important. For now, it's not that much, but it's very important for you because you can settle and see where your races are and what your projects are being done and where they are going to be finished. So that's very important. And when start ATR periods, when is going to be your sponsor package negotiations or sponsor plans, all that jazz, facility improvements, all that jazz. Circuits wise, here you have a list of all the circuits in the season, all 24 races, where if you click on each race you can see the overview, meaning the track abrasiveness, historic safety car chance, pit lane time loss, and this probably is one of the most important one, overview. Circuit map I don't use that much, section by speed not that important. The car attributes is other that is very important because here you can see what the track demands. In this case, low speed cornering and DRS effectiveness is recommended, as you can see in that legend right here. And the medium speed cornering is crucial, meaning this track, but I'm international circuit, will be focused a lot on medium speed. And here you can see a comparison of your cars with the grid, with the 22 drivers on the grid, and as we can see, we are the worst in everything except acceleration. We are the second worst, and cooling we are not that bad, but believe me, we are bad. Okay, so that's the most important. The other things you can check for yourself, but they are not important except for the compound performance, but I'd like to see that in race or just before we go racing. So that's the circuits. Then one of the most important screens here, the cars. Here you can take a look at your car performance compared to the grid. As you can see, we are dead last on everything. If you scroll around this, you can see the list of the tracks and where the game predicts you to finish up. The current car, we are predicted to finish dead last, except for Monaco. Okay, that's curious. Okay, and after this, you can check car 1, where you can see all the aero parts, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We can talk about now. I know it's the third topic of this section, the car development, but we can talk about it now. So, the car development, as you can see, we've got 6 aero parts that you can develop all of them. Meaning, the chassis is going to be good for top speed, but essentially DRS effectiveness, low speed, and where it shines is medium speed. Front wing, DRS effectiveness, low speed, but where it shines, it's the medium speed. No, not really. This is the race. Sorry, this is the race that we are chosen here. That is chosen here. You can choose any other race, and this will change. Okay, so the chassis. If I do recall correctly, the chassis will be good for top speed, DRS effectiveness, and a little bit of engine cooling. Yeah, it's highlighted there. Yeah. So front wing, the front wing is good for cornering, especially the low speed cornering, and a little bit on tire preservation, but not shines on the tire preservation. The rear wing is especially effective a little bit on top speed, to be honest. DRS effectiveness, of course, because it's where the DRS lies, that flap that opens to give you DRS. Low speed a little bit, medium speed a lot, but where it shines more it's high speed, and of course dirty air tolerance as well. The side pods, this is where you're going to focus on engine cooling. Gives you a little bit of top speed, all around a little bit on cornering speed, but as I said, it shines on the engine cooling. The underfloor is good for everything, but especially the cornering. Every single bit of cornering, low, medium and high speed, you should focus your underfloor on cornering. And suspension, finally. A little bit on top speed, but not much. Good on a low speed, a little bit on medium and high speed, but this is where you should focus on tire preservation, which is the braking, cooling. So avoiding lockups and avoiding tire wear is the suspension job here. The powertrain, you can take a look. We've got the Mercedes, so if we put car part details here, we've got that spec that we saw when we choose the powertrain, 90%, but we do have a new stat that there that we didn't see in that screen where we chose the manufacturer, which is the power loss threshold. And that's another reason why you should choose the Mercedes, because the Mercedes will only beginning losing power at 65% of the engine. So the engine almost for his entire life cycle will run on full power, and that's very good. That's very, very good. So putting that to the side, you have this option now to do the car analysis, which is similar to this one that you see here on the right, but here you can focus more on a team per se. Let's see Red Bull, how we compare to Red Bull, and as we can see, we lost on everything to Red Bull. Not surprising, but we lost a lot, man. Look at this, 4 kpm on top speed, loads of acceleration, 3 100s in acceleration. The DRS effectiveness Red Bull is more than almost double. Loads of low speed, 2/10 on low speed. Here 2/10 as well. Here 3/10, almost double the dirty air tolerance. Well, tire preservation, we are almost equal, more 1% for Red Bull, and the engine cooling is a lot different, 20% more than 20%. So this is where you can compare yourself to the rest of the teams or the grid itself, whichever floats your boat. Team branding returns you to the design of the car and design of the suits, and the logo of the team as well. Oh, let's do a logo. Yeah, why not? We can do a logo. But I'm liking this logo. Yeah, let's keep this logo because I'm liking this logo. And the warehouse. The warehouse is very important because here you can see how many parts do you got for each design. For now, we only have one design, and we've got the parts on it. Okay, that's about it on this screen. But the most important thing of this screen is car part development, is where you are going to design your car parts and research or manufacture. But I don't like to manufacture here. I like to manufacture via the warehouse. We'll see once we got some development going. For now, we've got only 2 million, meaning we can do 2 parts, because if we choose design, chassis design will cost 1 million, as we can see here. Side pods 1 million, underfloor 1 million, and suspension 1 million. But the wings costs 1,800,000, almost double the cost. So what I do like to do, and I advise you to follow this guide in terms of car development, as I do here, is starting with the underfloor, because the underfloor shines on every single cornering aspect, and even gives you a little bit of top speed and airflow sensitivity. So for the first underfloor design, I would recommend you to spend all your ATR period on it, meaning CFD, MAU hours, and all the wind tunnel hours, all of it on one part. You can distribute the hours remaining that you got in the next on the ATR period. The next one will be in 50 days for several parts, but I don't recommend. Why? Because you are going to do a part, design a part with CFD period, but you are not going to manufacture that part. Only in special occasions, only if you want to use that part before the next iteration, because you should be designing immediately a new part after the part that you design with CFD, because you gain a lot of expertise with the CFD. As you can see, it grew a lot, 12% here, 12% here, and we didn't set anything up. Look at the improvements here already. But the most important thing is that expertise that you gain will be applied on the next part. So the next part will be OP, man, will be completely OP, and we'll see that in this tutorial for sure. But now, follow this and design it, and since we are not going to use it, I'm going to put it minimum lifespan, which will shave a lot of extra weight and will give you a lot of performance. If you compare these numbers on the right while I'll shave weight, look at this. Look at the amount of performance you get by each click that I do here, or the same to the right, the amount of performance that you lose by increasing weight. Look at this. You will design a worse part than what your original one is if you add weight. So my recommendation is, since you are not going to use this part for sure, I'm going to put this to the minimum, and since we are using it for the CFD period, I usually keep it all in the middle when I'm using CFD, so in order to gain expertise on each area, so I don't lose anything on the next design on an area. But I honestly going to put this airflow sensitivity down to the bare minimum, going to put this to the max, the cornering aspect and the drag reduction, and now I'm going to increase the airflow sensitivity just a little bit so I can gain expertise on it just a tiny bit, like so, yeah, in order not to lose anything on the dirty air tolerance. But look at this, we are going to get 0.11 kph, but especially 2200s on the low speed, 21 on medium speed, 44 on the high speed, a little bit on dirty air tolerance, but that's not the important bit. The important bit is the expertise that we are going to gain. So next, you have 10 engineers if you start with the design level 2 center, which I do recommend. And as you can see, we've got 9 available because we are using one here. And now what I recommend is putting 6 engineers here, because it will decrease a lot the time. If you see here, you start with 33 days, with 2 it shaves 3 days, with 3 more 2 days, more 2 or less 2 in this case, and less 2 here, so 25 days. And now you've got the approach normal, rushed, which means it shaves a lot of days, look at this, but increases your cost to 1.5 million. Or even intense you cannot use, it will take the same amount of days, but you will gain a lot of expertise. You can see here on the approach, the game is very nice to show you or to give you tips on what you should do. On normal, your engineers will finish the project as soon as they can without rushing. Rushed, your engineers will put in extra hours to finish the project. That will mean a higher cost for a faster completion time. On intense, your engineers will put in extra hours to optimize this design. The cost will be higher, but you will gain a greater car part expertise bonus, which will improve future design of this part. So this is very good, but very, very expensive. It was better in the first year's game, but it's become too damn expensive, 3 times the cost. I don't think that's worth it. So if you started with anything but 2 million, let's say you start with 4 million, I would advise you to rush this part. It shaves you a lot of days, and you can start sooner the ability to try to get points on the race to secure your spot. But since I started with the lowest amount of money possible, I'm going to put this on normal, and I'm going to confirm it. Good. And the next part that we are going to be doing is the chassis, because the chassis takes a long time to manufacture. Not the longest time to research, but the longest time to manufacture. And the chassis, I'm going to shave off the entire medium lifespan, shaving weight. Why? Because the chassis has a long lifespan. Look at this, between 4 and 8 races. So in the middle, 6 races. Each chassis will last for 6 races. You have 24, meaning for each car you should use 4 chassis if you don't run into trouble. So that's very good. The chassis is not the thing that you should be using for engine cooling. That's going to be the side pods. So shave off the engine cooling and drag, and the DRS delta you should shave off as well. This is for the front wing. Even the drag reduction is for the front wing. The chassis is going to shine on the airflow middle. So I'm going to increase the airflow middle, keeping the drag reduction a little bit in the middle, but now I'm going to increase this a little bit just so we don't lose anything. So every single part will be a better part all around. Okay. Okay, and now the drag reduction is screwed. Okay. So meaning probably I should take this one off. Another one. Okay, now we are good. Except for the engine cooling. And now again this. And now again this. And now the engine cooling again. Oh boy. This is hard to set the sweet spot. Meaning we should go middle on everything then. Because on the middle everything was fine, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we do. If we increase one tick, okay, one tick is good, another tick is not good. So increase one tick only here on the airflow middle, giving you a lot cornering speed, medium speed and high speed essentially. But top speed, acceleration, DRS effectiveness and engine cooling is a little bit of an improvement, but an improvement nevertheless. So spend all the remaining engineers that we've got available, because it's all our money gone. So we don't have any more money now. If you have money, of course, do not spend all your engineers here, and keep at least 2 in order to start 2 more projects. And the projects that I do recommend you to start if you have money, it's side pods and suspension. The side pods focusing a lot on engine cooling to try to balance in order to not lose anything, like we did in the underfloor and the chassis, and the same for the suspension, but focus on tire preservation. Get most tire preservation and most engine cooling for the side pods and for the suspension. Okay, with that said, we cannot do anything regarding the car development, but that's a topic that's gone. Now we are going to speak about sponsor packages. But before, here in the dashboard we've got our objective. It's 9 or above, which is not bad because there's 11 teams, so we only need to be here. So, in all honesty, with the experience that I have, Haas, Suaber, Williams and Alpine will have a tough time scoring points. Alpine, Suaber and Haas probably won't score any points at all. So, if you can score 1 point during the season, you are guaranteed to finish 6 or 7 even. But ideally, you want to finish 9. You want to finish right at the season objective. And why is that? Because the board will be happy, giving you money at the halfway point and at the end of the season, because you are reaching their targets. And the next season goal, it's going to be the spot that you ended up in the season before. So if you win the 9, your season objective for next season will be exactly the same, 9th or above, and you will be in a very good spot, because we will be doing a research a lot in this year, or at least as your money allows it. So let's first talk about the rest of the screens. Of course, we ended up in cars. So driver wise, here you can see your drivers and the contracts that they have. That's good, because Porsche still has 3 years, 3 years for Pepe Marti, 3 years and 3 years for his engineers. And here you have the affiliates. Since we are a very small team and they are running out of contracting this year, that's very good. That's very good, because since you are a very small team yet, I don't recommend you to run affiliates. That's going to be only expensive for you, because every single one of them has a salary that you are going to pay. So you don't want that. You want to pay salaries for only your main drivers. And this guy's salary is kind of large compared to Porsche. Porsche is 3 times expensive, more expensive than that guy, but he's way better. And Pepe Martin with a very similar salary to the other guy, and he's he's way better than the other guy. Okay, but since we entered the screens here of our drivers, let's take a look. Here you have the mentality and the overall mentality, where you can see the big issue is the car performance and what this neutral mentality affects. Here you have a more detailed thing about the mentality. The contract salary, he is keen on that. Team performance, it's nothing. Team principal is not happy with car performance and with facilities. That's to be expected. The other staff is very happy because we chose good staff, and we'll see on the staff that it's going to be the other way around. They are going to be unhappy because of the drivers. So here we've got the stats, the stats for the driver, and pace stats. I arguably think they are the most important ones, being braking the most important one of the pace stats. Consistency is very important, especially control and smoothness. Control is the ability paired with accuracy. Control paired with accuracy is the ability to avoid lockups, spins, crashing, or running wide. As you can see there, you can take a look at the text that the game provides you, which will help you a lot. And smoothness, it's the ability the driver has to preserve the tires. And since we are looking at Porsche stats, and he lacks control and smoothness, which I think it's very important, and his pace stats are all above 80, I'm going to put him training the development rate very high. That's good. We are going to put him training on wet track. Why wet track? Because it improves control, smoothness, and accuracy. Everything that's good for him not to crash. And our first season, we are trying not to crash for sure. Here we can see what the facility bonus are. Here is his contract, and finally his career history. So let's do the exact same thing with Pepe Martin. Let's see what his stats is. It's only high, okay, in terms of development. Pepe Martin on the pace stats is not as good as Porsche, but control and smoothness are not bad compared to his pace stats. So let's focus a lot on cornering and braking. Where can we get both? Cornering, we've got cornering here, cornering and braking, okay, with accuracy, so that's good. Accuracy is the worst consistent stat of his, so this is a very good regime for him. Good. Having that said, we don't need to set up our affiliates because we don't want them. Now let's set the training for our engineers. In engineers, I like to do, let's see their stats for starters. Communication 89, feedback 92, composure 88. I like to do communication and composure. Composure is the most important one, because this stat means the highest the stat, the lowest the driver will be affected by bad events on track, and the highest they will be affected by good events on track, meaning with overtakes or running wide or something, he's going to lose less confidence, and by each overtaking that he's going to do, he's going to gain more confidence. So this composure, I think it's the most important stat for a race engineer. Feedback is very good because when you are doing practice sessions, this is how fast the driver will communicate to the race engineers about the car, but you are going to use a site that I'll leave here in this tutorial in order to help you achieve the best car setup possible, so you don't have to worry about that. Or if you want, you can play that minigame. Personally, I don't like that minigame, so I use the site to do it. And then, so having that said, I work on communication and composure only for the race engineers. which is this responsiveness thing. So let's do exactly the same here for this girl. Responsiveness. Ooh, and this girl is 93, 91. Ooh, okay, she's very, very good. Okay, good. I should switch them around, to be honest. Can I do it? I don't know how to do it in this game, to be honest. I knew it on the other game. On this game, I don't know how to do... Oh, okay, it's here. Okay, so let's change them. This girl, because she's better, I'm going to put on Porsche, and the other guy is going to be on Pepe Marti. Okay, they are switched. Good. And since they were low to begin with, of course, because we are starting this out, this has no impact at all on the affinity. Okay, so next screen, it's staff. It's the remaining staff, the head of the technical chief, the head of aerodynamics, and the sporting director. So let's see. Here I do to recommend you to take a look on the performance ratings of each staff, identify the worst part of their performance ratings, in this case side pods, chassis and front wing, and train that. So chassis, front wing, that's good. Chassis, side pods and suspension, that's even better. Body work. Okay. Okay, I think body work. I'm going to train body work on York. Ricardo Santos, let's see. The cooling side is not that good. The cool and the airflow management. Okay. So cooling, this is good. Oh, this is even better. Body work for the time being. Or this one. No, I do prefer the body work. Okay, so body work for the cooling, airflow management, and DRS delta and low speed downforce. Okay, good. And finally, our sporting director, the woman that takes care of our pit crew and all pit crew related stuff. So she's not bad. 81 training, the ability to efficiently develop the skill of the team of mechanics, the aptitude, the ability to help team mechanics reach their full potential, meaning they can only reach 81. The leadership, the ability to manage a team through high pressure situation. This is arguably the less important one, because you want to train your pit crew as best as possible for them not to do any mistakes. And processes, this is for me the most important one, because the higher the rating, the less fatigue that the pit crew gains from race weekends and training sessions, meaning you can train them a lot. So having that said, I think training and processes is the way to go, and this is innovation that you should be working in. Here, on the other hand, we've got the pit crew link, and since you are starting in the middle of February, I'm going to start training the pit crew, or changing that training. And my recommendation to you in terms of training is get to a low chance of mistake as soon as possible, and then start on your estimated pit stop while maintaining a chance of mistake low, around 7% on the first season. I want you to drop from 12% or 13% almost to under 8% on the first season on the chance of mistake, and then focus on the estimated pit stop. How should you do that? First things first, you should click on the cumulative side. What the cumulative does is it shows you the stats for each day. As you can see on the right, the things are changing each day. The total, on the other hand, is not showing each day, it's showing you the end of the month only. So cumulative, it's the end of the month. Total is the end of the month. Cumulative shows you day by day. So I like the cumulative to see what we are going to do and how rested the team is and all that jazz. So having that said, I'm going to do, as a select preset, I like to do pit stop time. Why pit stop time? Because despite the fact that we are going to do a pit stop drill, which is this icon, if you choose pit stop errors, you are going to start with selected focus. So I think the easiest way to do this is choose pit stop time, which will fill you mostly with gym training, but that's not what we are going to focus. And then click one left, pit stop drill on balance, pit stop drill on balance, and let's do exactly the same for each day until we get tired. As you can see, we are now losing only 1 on attributes, now 0, great. And we even are dropping already our chance of mistake. So good. Very good. Car building, we can go right side, 2 clicks. Good. We are still very well rested. Okay. And you can select the focus here, but what I like to do is go one left, go one right, and we'll start on balance. So let's do exactly this. Balance. Keep going here, because we are still very well rested. And we can even do this day here, and then rest just before the race with 0%, meaning we are going to have the pit crew as best as possible for the race. I won't advise you to reach the day before you start the race weekend, meaning Wednesday in this case, but most of the time will be Thursday, because the race weekend will begin on Friday. And I would advise you to get this as low to 0 as possible, and not over 6% here on the well-rested fatigue. Well, 6%, it's my recommendation. You should get max before heading to a race weekend. So dropping 1% already on the chance of mistake. So let's confirm the changes, and this is set. So done. Now the scouting. Okay, we've got 2 guys. Well, to be fair, we've got 1 guy because we don't have any money, so we cannot do anything regarding the scouting. We'll take care of that once we've got some money. Facilities, we'll deal with that later, and I'll talk about that later, but here is where you can see your facilities. And hospitality area, team marketability, memorabilia room, team marketability. That's why we chose that. Board, here is where you can see your overview of the board confidence, and where they stand in terms of each section, and your objectives, and the board budget. Okay, monthly payment is only 4 million, which is not ideal, but it will increase when your team rating increase as well. Finances, this is a very important one. You can take a look at this, but the most important screen is this one. 66 million on the cost cap, which is not that much if you think about this. If you start with any other team except the creator team mode, you should be 90 million on the cost cap, because you are spending only 30 million on car. With the creator team mode, you spend 70 million on it, so you have a lower cost cap, and that's your main factor limited. Overall, not for the first season, though, if you start with low money. In the first season, you will have very, very, very low money. Don't worry about the projected balance of the season, getting you to 66 million negative according to the game, because if you take a look here on the spending breakdown, the game do not account for the sponsors. So don't worry about that, you should be doing fine. And finally, the last screen is the standings, where you can see for every competition, F1, F2, F3, and every championship, the constructor, the drivers, and the DHL fastest pit stop. This DHL fastest pit stop, it's only money. If you end up in first, you get 12 million, and then you'll get less every single spot lower. So that's about it in terms of the screens, the main screens of your team dashboard. So now, finally, let's advance 6 days to the sponsor negotiation to get into the sponsor packages. And since we chose to increase our team marketability a little bit with the memorabilia room and the hospitality area, we should have at least a 2.5 star or even a 3-star sponsor, giving you a lot of money, hopefully. Oh, I never saw the contracts of our staff, so let me just do that real quick. 3 years, okay, that's good. What about you? 3 years, okay, I see they start all with 3 years contract. Oh, no, 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 no. You, my friend, are going to end your contract soon, but since this is too soon on the season, as you can see, recently started contract and too close to season start and end, you cannot do anything, but remind yourself that you have to renew or get new guys for the position. But that's good that Inglang is finishing her contract this year because she's a sporting director. But as a tip, if you go to the sporting directors overall, the best guy is Jonathan Whitley, and Jonathan Whitley is ending his contract at the end of the season as well. So we can even scout him, and this is how you scout guys. And in 6 days you'll know that he is going to run out of contract in this season ending, so you can pouch him and have the best sporting director available already for season number 2, and I think I will try to achieve that. So now, sponsor negotiation. Let's see if we had any luck. 1 star, doesn't bode well, but here we got 3 stars, and look at the difference. 31 million, 35 million, or 51 million. Up front is not as great as Abaus for this sponsor, but it will give you a lot more on the race weekends and on the engagement. We'll talk about the engagement. As you can see, it's color coded. The blue one it's upfront package, the yellow one is engagement, and finally the red one is race day. I do recommend you to choose the race day focus. Well, I do recommend you to choose the best one, of course, the highest star rating, in this case is Ferro NG, and we got some luck because it's race day focus. But after you choose the main sponsor, you got 5 optimal sponsors that you can fill up, and I do recommend you to fill every single one of them. And this is where you should focus on the race day. Well, they all got stars as well, as you can see, but race day money is very, very good. This one, despite being the race day condition, it's good. The race day money, it's good because it has some energy drink advertising cameo as a mandatory activity. It lowers your driver marketability a little bit, but should give you money for that mandatory activity as well. So overall this is brilliant. So let's choose this. The other one only gives you money for the race, and I like that because in the first season the expectations will be low, man, so you can easily achieve, at least for the 3rd or 4th race onwards, you should be easily achieving the race day targets, which is great for your finances. Then we've got 2 of this, which is star. This one is very bad because it's only engagement, well, giving you a little bit on everything, but especially engagement and no mandatory activity. So I do recommend you this one. Wind tunnel higher is good. It will decrease the wind tunnel that you don't need that much, and will give you money. So that's good. I think it's 8 million on the wind tunnel higher, so I'm going to choose this one. Well, in all honesty, we've got 5, so we have to choose at all. So no real choices here. So let's do this, and finally let's do this. Increasing your total funding to 85 million, giving you an upfront of 21 million. That's what we'll be getting in our bank balance. Engagement for the rest of the season will be 29 million, and race day will be 34 million. If you choose the middle target, if you choose the highest target, the more riskier one, and you succeed, you'll be doing more than 34 million for the season. So let's confirm this, and you shall see that we are going to increase a lot of money. Yeah, here you can put your newest decals of the sponsors. I'm not going to do that. 21 million. Brilliant, right? With those 21 million, we are going now to do the rest of the, how do you call it, the rest of the design projects in this case. So I'm going to decrease the chassis by 2 engineers, because we'll need 2 engineers for 2 projects. So design, and as I said previously, if you had money, do the side pods. And the side pods, let's share the weight and see how, yeah, they are going to last at least 4 races. That's good. And focus on engine cooling, like so. Don't want to lose anything out of this, but I don't need that much of airflow front. We can drop this to the lowest amount possible. Good, not losing anything. And now you can lower this like so. So not getting any top speed, getting a little bit acceleration, even getting cornering, but essentially you are getting almost 20% on engine cooling. So catching up with the Red Bull, almost catching up to the Red Bull in terms of engine cooling with only 1 part. So that's good. Normal. You could rush it, but I don't recommend, because this first season you are not aiming for winning races, you are not aiming to do well on races, so save money, because you have a lot of facilities to work on. So let's do this. Let's design the suspension. Shedding the weight, 2 to 3 races. I think we can put 1 tick on, and 2 to 4 races is better. So do 1 tick to the right. And tire preservation is what you should aim for. So taking the airflow front, taking the high speed, and taking a little bit of top speed in order not to lose anything. Okay, this is not great. Okay, this is better. Can we shed even more the top speed? No, we cannot. Okay, so this is the ideal situation for you. You get a little bit of top speed, but that's not what you are aiming for, nor cornering speed. You are aiming for the tire preservation, the brake cooling, and you'll get 16% out of that. That's brilliant, to try to avoid you having lockups, which is very important, because lockups can lead you to big accidents. So, good. The only engineer that we've got available, and let's do it. So we spend another 2 million, we still got money, and with that money, let's now talk about facilities. The facilities is this screen, where you got first the car development facility, the factory, the design center, the wind tunnel, the CFD simulator, the suspension simulator, and the car part test center. Here, if you over your mouse, you can see on the right what is affected by that. But the thing that I do recommend starting early is the factory. So let's do it. Let's upgrade the factory right away. 7 million. This is very expensive, every single one of this. If you try the design center, it's 11 million and a half. If you try the wind tunnel, 10 million. The CFD, 10 million. The suspension simulator, 7.5 million. And the car test center, almost 7 million. So all of these are very expensive. This, the staff, very important. I don't recommend you to do any scouting department. 2 scouts is more than enough for the time being, but I do recommend the team hub, which is quite cheap, 800,000, and it will increase your team attractiveness. Not something that you should strive for, but the essential thing is +1 on mentality, which is very, very powerful, and +20 on the weak development of your staff. So that's very good. And of course, invest in the racing simulator as well. 1 million, it will give you 10% weekly development of your drivers. And since you are starting with young drivers, this is very important. Then the operation. The boardroom is not that important, to be honest. You can build one. It's not that expensive, 400,000, but you should spend money on other things. The weather center is not that important, at least for season 1, so I would avoid doing that. But you should increase the memorabilia room. Look at that. Getting double the team marketability and getting double the mentality of staff and drivers. So do that. The hospitality area exactly the same. It's a little bit more expensive, almost 2 million, but improving again the team marketability to double. So that's good. And of course the helipad and the tour center. The helipad, ship, and increasing the team marketabilities and the sponsor targets payout by 1%, not that much, but it all helps. And the tour center, the cheapest of the lot, 250,000, very cheap to refurbish as well, and it will give you a weekly income, so it's going to pay out very soon, pay for itself very soon. So that's my suggestion for your facilities, and you still got 7 million lying around. So now our first sponsor plan. So jumping to the next topic of this section of the tutorial, and the first sponsor plan of the season. We don't have any mandatory activity on this sponsor plan, and we've got an engagement to hit, meaning if you hit this engagement target, which is this line here, you would get the engagement money, which is not those 3 million. It's going to be around 400,000 or something. This 3 million, I think it's divided by the entire season, so it's not that much of a money. But you are not going to lose much on this first season, because as I said, your season is not going to be focused on racing, this first one. So no real reason why you shouldn't do this. I would avoid the driver performance rating penalty, especially for your main driver. The sponsor event is even worse. The driver mentality, don't choose ever this one for any of our drivers. Driver mentality is very bad. Okay, for an affiliate, I don't care. Okay, for an affiliate, I don't care, honestly. So I choose that because it's an affiliate. Never saw that. That's cool. For car number 2, I don't want this. Race engineer. Yeah, we can choose this one. Post-race debrief. Yeah, we don't care about this one, so we can choose this one as well. Guided tours, yeah, we can choose that one as well. School events, yep, thank you. And finally, oh boy, this is not going to be enough. Okay, we have to choose the first one because the other ones will not be enough. So Porsche, unfortunately, will have to suffer for the first couple of races, 3 races even. But doesn't matter too much, because it's these 3 races we are not expecting to do anything. So not too bad. Could be worse, not too bad. We are going to attain our target, and with that we are not going to get the 3 million. This is a bug, I think, or it's not very well explained, but we are going to get a little bit of this money. So let's confirm. Now it's 2 million here. It's a little bit confusing, the money that we'll get, but it's going to be around 400,000 or something in my experience. So finally, let's continue to the race weekend, so we can finally talk about the last item of this section, of this off-race mechanic section, which will be the race targets. Okay, but before that, we've got our helipad constructed, and you should be upgrading as soon as possible the helipad and the tour center. It's going to be very cheap to do so, and you should be upgrading it to max level immediately. With that, you get a bonus thing as a consequence, which is upping the mentality of everybody, drivers and staff alike. If you go here, they are very happy with the facility upgrade started, as you can see. So this is very good doing your facilities. So good. We've got everybody on positive. And now let's talk about race targets. Since we are so damn bad and we don't know our place in the grid, we know that we are bad, I would recommend you to set this to the lowest target possible for the first race for both. And with that said, we are going into our first race weekend. So, section number 2, the off-race mechanics, is done for this guide. And now we are going to enter section number 3, the in-race mechanics. And in this in-race mechanics, we are going to start with the driver orders, then 2 practice sessions, qualifying sessions, and race. So, driver orders. Before we start the driver orders, we've got here the overview of the circuit, the reports where you can refresh yourself on the track, medium abrasiveness, and what the attributes for this track is like. Low speed, cornering, DRS effectiveness recommended, and medium speed to the top. And then you can continue and finally entering the preparation for each section. Let's say that this time is the P1, the practice session number 1. You got in a regular weekend 3 practice sessions, then 3 qualifying sessions, and then the race. For the sprint weekend, you got practice session 1, then 3 qualifyings for the sprint, then the sprint race, then 3 qualifyings for the race, and finally the race. It's very, very heavy on your powertrain parts especially, and of course aero parts as well. So in first season, I do not recommend you to race any of the sprints. I do recommend you do the practice session number 1 and do it, not skip it, not simulate it. Then don't run the qualifying section number 1, don't simulate and go time 16 and do not send your boys out. Do not do the sprint, do not simulate. You start a sprint and you retire immediately your guys, and then you can focus on the qualifying and the race. But I'll give you an example in this guide still. So for now, we are going to do the practice session, and I'm going to show you how you could do the practice session. So for starters, compounds for the practice session number 1, I do recommend you use the hard tire. Car parts, I do recommend you use the lowest one, or if you have new parts, the new part, in order to get knowledge of it, and use your most worn parts for the practice session. Since this is the first weekend, everything is on stock and the powertrain parts are all 100%. Run lap, put it to 30 laps because you are going to run 30 minutes of practice session. The pace mode, put it all on low, fuel usage all on low, and ERS strategy all down to the left to harvest. Why? Pace mode, you don't want to screw too much tires and you don't want to get tire wear and temperature on it, and you want to run at least amount of possible of problems, of incidents. Conserve, which is great for engine cooling, and engine cooling is great to save your engine, to save your powertrains. If you are running your engine too hot, all of your power engines will wear faster. So run this down on the practice session and do exactly the same for here Mr. Pepe Marti, for your second driver. Go low on it, and then what I do recommend you to do is save your game on a new save slot, in this case, and after saving your game you can go to the site f1setup.it, which I'll show you now. Okay, if you go to this site save.f1setup.it, you will run into this F1 Manager save browser, where you can do some cheating if you want to, or some scouting if you want to. Go to your save file games. You have here F1 Manager 24. You can copy this, grab an Explorer file, paste it here, and you'll have here your save games. In this case, in my save is save number 2. Drag it to here, and here you have your perfect car setups for Sakir or Barheim. When I said you can scout, as you can go here into people or any of these tabs, you can search, you can spend a little bit time here on this site. It's a cool site, and you can go here to improvement, double click and see who's the best guy in terms of development. And we've got here some interesting guys, Anne-Marie Fabre and Tyrone Humphries, and of course Mr. Andrea Kimi Antonelli. So these are cool guys to have, especially this guy who starts already at 63 and has a very good improvement rate, 96. But what we are interested about is this. For Porsche it's going to be 40115, so let's do that. Here 40115, then 73 320 005, 320 005, and then do exactly the same for Pepe Marti, 40110, 64 335 035, okay, and we are set to go. Lowest amount of driver push on both, 30 laps of fuel, the setups 100%. Let's go race. Do not simulate, man, do not simulate your race. Do the practice sessions, at least for the first season. It will save you a lot, man, it will save you a lot, and avoid crashes. Send your first driver out, wait for a little bit. I usually wait for him to cross this line and then send him out, or the camera change, and then I'm going to do time 16. Once they are out, I pause the game, and now we can talk about our first topic here in the in-race mechanics, which is driver orders. As you can see here on this first tab for the driver, you got the pace level, which we are running on conserved, which was what we chose in the last screen, light, standard, aggressive and attack. And you can see here the effect that this has on lap time, and the wear, the effect on the wear. Of course, you have to keep in mind, as more aggressive you run, the higher the temperatures will be, and higher temperatures will lead to highest tire degradation. You can see here on the last tab, these car attribute tabs, the tires, and if you scroll it and if you zoom on one of the tires, you can see these tires, these hard tires, will last till 140 degrees, meaning you can run it high. Even on red, it will show you red after 125 degrees or something. But since you don't reach that 140 degree threshold, the tire wear will be the same. If it surpasses this 140 degree, your tire wear will decrease dramatically, man, dramatically. So here on this tab is where you can retire your car as well. You can see that already. Then the engine, and as you can see, we've got such poor engine cooling that we are starting with engine overheating immediately, which is not ideal. But here is where you can send your guy to balance or push the engine. And finally the ERS harvesting, meaning he's getting 1 megajoule per lap. Top up will get 0.2 megajoule per lap. Neutral is keeping the same balance, the same percentage that he has, and deploy is going to use his energy recovery system by 2 megajoule per lap. So you can spend more than you can obtain by harvesting, but we are keeping on harvesting. Try not to strain our engine, our ERS system in this case. The second tab is where you can give specific orders, and we are going to give specific orders to our drivers. In the practice session you have only these three options. In race we'll get more, and we'll talk about that later once we are in race, but on the practice sessions I do recommend you to do this. Avoid high risk curbs, which will use the conserve pace mode through the corners with high risk to avoid them, reducing wear on the powertrain tires and preventing punctures when tires are suffering from high wear, meaning the powertrain wear is going down, and that's what we want, tire wear as well, risk of puncture as well, and effect on lap times going up, but doesn't matter, we are in practice session. The driving clean air mainly will help regulate the engine and tire temperature and reduce wear. The driver will also avoid slipstream, though, making catching up and overtaking cars in front more difficult. Again, we are in practice session, we don't care about overtaking cars or catching up, we do care about the powertrain wear temperatures and the tire wear temperatures and all the wear as well. So I do recommend you to do this on both. So Pepe Marti will do that as well, and since Pepe Marti was sent last and is the worst driver, we are going to choose him not to fight his teammate. As you can see there, don't fight teammate. This driver will avoid battling or overtaking their teammate and will give up their position if the teammate tries to overtake them. So we don't want them to be entangled with each other and have an incident. And finally, the last step here is just to call your car into the pits, and that's what I'll be doing after 30 minutes of practice time. So let's go, and you'll be running this like so until we reach the 30 minutes. So I'll do a cut, and once the 30 minutes is going to be here, I'll take control of it again, and I'll be back to show you that we are going to get the 100% setup using the site. So here we are approaching the 30-minute mark, and 30-minute. Okay, so let's call our car in, both of them, and they should be pitting now. Indeed. And if we don't see here on the practice session number 1, because we've got the feedback available, but if we do this, we'll see we got optimal in everything. Setup satisfaction 100, and the same for the second car. So this will give you a little bit of an advantage, and you can see the guys are improving on car part knowledge. So it's beneficial for you to send them longer than 30 minutes, but the 30 minutes mark I use it because I want to save powertrain parts, so I'm not getting any extra time, and the 30 minutes is the bare minimum for the drivers to get the most amount of development possible out of this practice session number 1. So I'm going to do exactly the same on practice session number 2 and number 3, putting 30 laps and dropping their tempo, avoiding high curbs and driving in clean air, and doing 30 minutes on each. The difference is on practice number 2 I'm going to use medium tires, and on practice number 3 I'm going to use soft tires. And now I'll do a cut, and I'll be back for the quali session for quali number 1. So the practice sessions are done, and we did a very poor time, but that's not only due to our poor car performance, but the things that I've talked about earlier, that we got conserving the tires, conserving the powertrain, the engine, not using the ERS, in order to save parts, powertrain parts especially. We managed to get 81% track acclimatization with both of our boys, only doing 30 minutes, and 49% car part knowledge of the stock car. So let's continue. Medium confidence to boat. You should try to obtain high, but later in the season. For now it's medium, because very poor car knowledge of those parts. And now here we reach the first quali of this career and of your career if you are following this guide along. And as a recommendation, you should use the soft tires for every qualifying. They are the best one. And since this is the first quali of this career, we don't have any parts to change. We'll talk about that later once we get some parts. For now, let's put the guys on the soft, sorry, and let's start the quali. You should manage all of your sessions here in the quali, especially because you should send your drivers immediately. That's what I like to do. Send them immediately, one after another, and after they exit the pit lane, you should take control, because you will manage this better than the AI, especially on the tire front, managing to get the tire front up to temp when you start a final lap. So you have to consider the track length, and you have to do some experiences where you should start working on your tires. This track, I know, but is short, so we should work on our tires immediately. And as you can see here, because our engine cooling is so low, despite the fact that we've got only 22 degrees air temperature, we start with the engine on red, but I'm going to push the fuel right from the get-go. Why pushing the fuel? Because you will get a lighter car for your flying lap, as if you spend the most amount of fuel possible in this out lap, you should have a lighter car at the start of the flying lap. That's why I like to manage myself the qualifyings, because I can get optimal temps at the start of the lap and a lighter car by using the fuel. The ERS, I'm going to use it on deploy, but only about here, close to the line, 2 or 3 corners before the line, in order for them to get speed and getting to the straight line on the finish line or the start line with the max amount of speed they are capable of. Here as well, in the qualifying, you can see for the first time the orders. No, it's not here, it's only for the race. Okay, so I'll talk about the rest of the orders on the race itself. So let's get this quali done. Marty is out, so let's do exactly the same with him. Attack the tires and push the fuel. And about here is where I'm going to deploy. Okay, deploy with both. They should have the optimal speed entering the flying lap. We got lucky, nobody ahead of us, so we have a clear track for our flying lap. And good. So, after you cross the line, what I do recommend, because you've used a lot of your fuel, so if you keep this way, you will run out of fuel and you will be disqualified for that. So what I do recommend is you put on conserve, trying to conserve the softs that you just used, conserve the fuel, harvest the ERS, and even giving the guys orders to avoid high curbs and drive in clean air, just for one lap, but it's going to save you parts nevertheless, and tires and all that jazz. So I'm going to do exactly the same for Marty. And now I'm going to press on and keep the guys in the pits. So, for your first quali, you don't have any new parts, you have a very stock car. I don't think it's worth it to send your guys again. You are going to start dead last, but that's what we expected. Oh, in fact, Hulkenberg is doing worse than us, but probably is doing a second steam, so he's going to improve on that. But doesn't matter too much. We know we are going to suffer a lot on these first races, so doesn't matter that much. Later in the tutorial, once we got all parts, I will show you how I managed the qualifyings with 2 stints, especially to try to get the guys to Q2 and hopefully to Q3 as well. But for now, we are going to start dead last. Not dead last, Marty did better than Pocher, which is kind of surprising. So P19, P21 for now. Okay, they dropped. Okay, we are not dead last, so we are in our race target objective, which is kind of surprising. But okay, so after that, you can see the qualifying 3 results immediately. Max Verstappen with the pole, not too surprising, and ourselves with P19 and P20, or P20 and P21. Yeah, P20 and P21. So, now we go into the race per se, and having that said, what I do like to do in race is go to circuit info to remind myself of the track. So it's medium abrasiveness, the car attributes its low speed and DRS effectiveness recommended, and medium speed cornering crucial. And after that, I'd like to go to the pre-race reports to take a look at the compound performance to see which are the better tires in order with speed. Of course, speed is always the same. Soft are faster, then medium, then hards, but you have to take account on the degradation here. So as you can see, we've got big 5/10ths between the softs and the mediums, and another 5/10ths between the mediums and the hards, so 5/10 between all of them. And then the DEG is 3 100ths between the softs, but the mediums is only 100 to the hards, meaning the mediums are way faster than the hards and they don't degrade that much compared to the hards. So we should avoid the hards in this track. So having that said, let's now race our race strategy. Here the race preparation is where you can set the race strategy. What I like to do is, in your first season, since you have such bad cooling, you are going to run conserve all the time in terms of engine. So what I like to do is drop all the way down, underfuel the car a lot, and then pace mode I'm going to put all the way up this, and keep the fuel usage on medium for the first lap only. At the beginning of the second lap I'm going to change that to conserve, and all the way to the end I'm going to run on conserve. Exactly the same here for Mr. Marti. If you are scared that you are not getting into the end of the race, you can put 1 lap extra fuel, and I'm going to do just that with Porsche. I'm going to put him with 50 laps worth of fuel, and Marti is going to get 49. Now, strategy. We know we should avoid the hards, and here you can set a strategy. You have, like the orders, you have conserve, light, normal, aggressive, and attack. And my feeling of this is aggressive strategies pay off a lot in this game. So, having that said, I think with aggressive strategies you should use the aggressive strategy on the hardest compound that you are going to use, if you cannot use on every tire, of course. So a 2 pit stop strategy, I like it, but I think I will choose this one, start on the mediums, and go into the mediums as well, and ending on softs. Maybe I can put some aggressiveness on that, and we can indeed. So I'm going to do like this, probably 1 lap less, because we are going to attack for the first lap these mediums tires, then we are going to fall back to the aggressiveness. So I'm going to let go a little bit of a leeway here, and then I'm going to, oh, not this, I'm going to drop the softs around here. So this is a very good strat, and this should be very fast comparing to the preset strats. Not really. The game thinks 2 softs are better than 1 medium. Yeah, the softs are very fast comparing to the mediums, to be honest. So, having that said, I think I will change this to the mediums, to soft, medium, soft. Unfortunately, we cannot run the mediums on aggressive, or maybe we can. Yes, we can. Okay. Yes, we can indeed. So, I think this is the better strategy, giving a little bit of a breathing room here, burning the mediums to the ground, and having some breathing room for an attack at the end. So I'm happy with this. Let's do exactly the same with Pepe Marti here. Let's try to be aggressive with him. He can save a little bit more his tires than Porsche, which is kind of funny. So let's do like this. And I'm happy with that. And now, since we are all ready, we can start our first race. And of course I'm not going to bring you the full race, but I'm going to show you the rest of the manager orders that you can give to your drivers in race. So what I like to do is, once the lights go out and the race starts, is pause the game
and away we go.
and take off the battle assist, because this is active from default. What this does is, you can read here on the tooltip, direct the driver to conserve some energy throughout the lap to be used when battling, either to help to overtake or defend against another car. It seems like a good thing, but since you are going to be 90% of the time not fighting the other drivers, this will slow you down massively. So I like to take this off, and I like to manage my ERS manually. So I'm going to take both of the guys this off. And now let's take a look at the orders that we are going to talk about. The overtake aggressiveness and the defend approach. I like to, especially for the first season, but usually 99% of the time I run like this. Low and readily defend. Why is that? Because low, the level of risk a driver will take when overtaking. The riskier an overtake attempt, the more likely they are to cause a racing incident, and you want to avoid the incidents as much as possible. Incidents will screw your aero parts, will screw your powertrain parts, will cost you a lot of money overall. So you want to have as much as possible a season without incidents. So that's why I do the low aggressiveness. Readily defend is exactly the same. The level of risk a driver will take while defending their position, the riskier defend attempt, the more likely they are to cause a racing incident. So that's why I put them on low. And in race, you hardly notice a difference, because the drivers are still too aggressive, and with the DRS will give you a massive boost of speed, so you are still going to overtake when needed. And let's do exactly the same for Pepe Marti. And then I like to use the new camera mode, which is the second one. It's a helicopter view, and I like to follow the guys mostly the first lap, but since our guys are too slow, it's not going to happen much. Oh, we stopped on track. Traffic. Oh, and we got an incident here. First incident of this career. It was right ahead of us. It was between the two Suaber guys. We can take a look at the replay. It was Ricardo, not the Suaber guys, after all, but with the Suaber, I think. Yep, with the Suaber indeed. So Ricardo and Bottas with mechanical faults. This icon shows mechanical faults, and we overtook them quite easily, Bottas especially. So we are well within our targets, which is brilliant. So if I speed now this to the end of the first lap, which is right around here, now I'm going to put the guys on standard, which is the strategy for these softs. Then I'm going to conserve, and then I'm going to stop using the energies, like so. And then I'll give one more lap to see where we stand. And here we are, one lap later. And since we are within DRS range of the next guy, DRS range means you are under 1 second, I'm going to put the guys on harvest, both of them, because both of them are within 1 second of the guy just ahead. So I'm going to take use of this DRS session where they are. You can see the DRS sections in green on the track map. And I'm going to try to get full charges on both.
Copy.
This is what I like to do. I don't like to micromanage a lot the ERS system. So I like to get my charges up and running soon to give on the final 2 laps a go with full power, full deploy. But you can even manage this better than me if you have the patience to micromanage a lot of this ERS system, using it when you are about this 2 seconds behind or something, and then recharging while you have the DRS, and especially on the DRS zones. So I'm going to do exactly that here. Porsche is almost losing the wheel, but he still should be on DRS range.
Copy.
Marty, on the other hand, is not. Yes, Porsche still has DRS, so should be approaching and recharging his DRS, but now is going to be left behind. Okay, we got some charges back, so let's neutral. And now he's going to be left behind. If we speed this along, yeah, now they are speeding up a lot ahead of us. So, now I'm going to do a cut, and I'll be back for the final lap, or the final 2 laps of this first race of our career, to show you what I like to do when reaching the final 2 laps with full energies, hopefully. And now we are entering the final 2 laps of the race, and something you have to be considering, as you can see, we've got fuel enough to do this. I even put balance a little while ago and attacked the tires because we have tires enough for this. What you have to take in consideration is that you are so slow that you are going to be lapped, and this time it's 2 laps, so this fuel will be more than enough. You can think about 1 kilogram negative as 1 lap down and 2 kilograms as 2 laps. So we are going to even push our fuel at the end here. So push, and once we are across the line with Porsche, I'm going to deploy, use the ERS system, push here with Marty, and he's across the line, so deploy, and hopefully we can reach Bottas, but I don't think so. So we are going to achieve only 1 race target, and it's going to be Porsche. Porsche had a 8-second pit stop there, so that was bad. That was very bad for him. Yeah, fuel delta warning, but the game is not considering that we are 2 laps down. So we entered our final lap, and we are not catching Bottas, unfortunately. But let's end the race nevertheless. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Max Verstappen,
Max Verstappen
over the
with a
finish
win.
line,
Nothing
and
too
today's
surprising,
winner.
like in real life. And we are going... Oh, we've approached Bottas a lot. So Porsche had 2 incidents in all honesty. He had a slow pit stop and he had a spin, so that's why he dropped so much. Otherwise we could get the P20, but this doesn't matter too much because we could only achieve the race targets with 1 guy. And just to show you that, if you finish the race here, skipping the cutscenes. Okay, you can see here the race results. Constructor-wise, we are dead last. Yep. Driver-wise, dead last as well. Okay. But none of the other teams score points, the other teams that are going to fight with us. So, yeah, we are very slow on the pits as well. And we had that issue that took us 8 seconds in the pits, which is not ideal. So we've achieved no race target. Okay, that's surprising. I thought it was 21, but I guess it's 20. So no race target, no money for you, and you are going to struggle a lot money-wise in this first part of the season. So the memorabilia room is completed. We can go to it. Oh, Pepe Marti is improving. Nice. And I do recommend you to improve the memorabilia room again because it's cheap and it will give us a lot of team marketability. So let's do it. You have to be sensible with money. You have to keep in reserve at least 5 million in order to do the projects. So we've got that scouting done of Whitley. We know Whitley is going to be available and we are going to try to sign him later. Here we've got the turn of the month in the meantime, and every turn of the month you get some money and you get improvement of your drivers if your drivers improved. In this case they didn't improve at all. So, but Pep Marti, we know he improved because he just got 72 overall. But you can check here in the finances on your monthly balance. You can check here the outgoing and the incoming. So we've got about 1,200,000 each month positive. So having that said, we are doing the car design. It's 4 days to Jeddah, so I'll do a cut here and I'll be back once we get the underfloor done. So after we do Jeddah, so I'll be back once the underfloor. Oh, and we are going to train the pit crew, but I've already shown you what I usually do, which is putting this on pit stop time, cumulative, and then once we are tired, rest, like every single day after the race we are going to be tired, and then focus a lot on pit stop drill and try to get this way down to 0, so it's 5%. 6 is the maximum, so I'm not going to train anymore. Then I'm going to rest here, and we are well rested, so we can train the day after. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a cut and do Jeddah off camera, and I'll be back once the underfloor is available and we've reached the design. And the underfloor is done, so let's continue. And we are not going to manufacture this underfloor. We are going to start a new part, and since we've got an ATR period in the meantime, I'm going to start now on the front wing by using the ATR period. So use all of it. All of it. Good stuff. And dropping all the weight. And keeping all in the middle to get the most amount of stats possible. So, using the 6 engineers that we've got available on this, and let's confirm it's another 1.8 million done. In the meantime, I simulated Jeddah, and we ended up quite nicely because we got both race targets done, because there was a crash in the race for someone here, for Zoe, and we did manage to end up in 20 and 21, so fulfilling our race targets on both guys. So I do not recommend to simulate. I'm doing the simulation just to get this guide out in fashionable time, let's say that. But I do recommend you to race, because if you simulate it, the guys tend to crash a lot more and spend their parts a lot more. So if you can take a look here, we've got our engine already at 81%, and that's not good. We want to use the engine at least for 6 races, and heading to race number 3, 81%, not ideal. But they are enthusiastic, because in the meantime I've been working on facilities, still going on the factory. We've got the team hub and the race simulator done. I'm not going to improve that because it's a little bit too expensive, and I want to save that money for research. But I've been upgrading the memorabilia room, the helipad, and the tour center. You should get to these 2 level 5 as soon as possible. These 2 at least. This will become a little bit more expensive, so we'll see what we can do there. You have to keep in mind that your cost cap is not great, so having that in mind, spending on facilities will not increase your cost cap, but research and design projects will. So now, the next thing that we are going to have is the chassis, and the chassis we want to manufacture, so let's continue to it. In the meantime, we'll get some facility upgrades, so no need to do a cut. This should be quite fast to reach that design, and getting those facility upgrades, we'll see what they are all about. Helipad, we want to keep improving on that, and you can see is not too expensive, so let's upgrade it. Good. Let's continue. The next one should be the tour center, right? Indeed, tour center, another one that we want to upgrade, and as you can see, very cheap indeed, and giving more money, so it pays for itself quite fast. And finally, we get our first proper design that we are going to use, the chassis. So let's go to manufacture it, and the chassis we want 2 parts first, because we want to manufacture 2 parts on each car part that we have available, and then work 1 each until we reach the 4 for each part for the rest of the season. And we are going to manufacture as long as it drops to 4, or when we see here after each race on the aerodynamics if they reach on high risk. Once you got 4, imagine here suspension, we got the level 2 already and we got 4, and this is high risk. When you see after the race that he's high risk, you should build 1 and see the same for the car number 2. If both are on high risk, you should build 2 to get 4 all times until the end of the season. That's my recommendation in terms of that. Now, we are doing the chassis. We are going to get some upgrades in the meantime. We are going to get into Australia. So now, I'll be back for these 2 designs that will be completed in the 28th of March, which will be the suspension and the side pods. Okay, side pods is done. Continue. Suspension is done. Continue. And now we only have 1 more part to do in terms of car part development. 2 more parts, sorry. The rear wing and the underfloor, and of course the front wing, the second design. So let's start with the underfloor. And after we used the ATR period on it, and you should use every ATR period because you cannot accumulate ATR periods. Once you are not using the ATR period, it's gone, so you should always use it. And now let's specialize the underfloor. This is the underfloor that we want to use. If we kill all the weight, this is quite good enough, 3 races. And the underfloor, we are going to try to give him the most amount possible on cornering. Can we do this without losing anything? And as we can see now, with this second iteration after the ATR periods, we are not going to lose anything despite putting the airflow sensitivity all the way down, the drag reduction all the way down, and putting the cornering speed all the way up. So good improvement on cornering, very good improvement, and still get an improvement on the other things as well. So let's go and use 2 engineers on it. $1 million gone. And now if we are going to use the rest of our money to do the rear wing. So we don't have any money to do the manufacturing part, but doesn't matter too much. The most important thing is that you get these parts designed, and then you can focus on research once you have money and manufacturing. The rear wing, on the other hand, 2 to 3 races not good, so 1 click, it's better. Yeah, 2-4 races, that's way better. So 1 click to the right in terms of weight. The rear wing is going to be good for the high speed, so let's drop the low speed. Let's drop the medium speed and put the high speed all the way up. Let's try to drop the airflow sensitivity. And this all the way down, and this all the way down as well. Airflow sensitivity, can we put it all the way down as well? Almost. So if we do 1 click here. Okay, I'm happy with this rear wing. Gaining still a lot of things on everything, but especially on the high speed. So happy with that. Let's use the remaining 2 engineers. And now we only have to do the second iteration of the front wing once it is done. So now it's the money struggle. The money struggle part starts here. I think I should have refrained a little bit on the facilities wise, but doesn't matter too much. We are not going to be competitive in this season. We are only trying to improve our car as much as possible and our expertise. Having that said, now on the calendar we'll have Japan and some other stuff. So I'll be back once I do have parts manufactured for both cars on every single piece of the car parts, the section here for those 6 pieces. that we've got available here on the aero part, meaning we still need to do a design for the front wing, a second one, and then the manufacturing. So I'll do a cut and I'll be back around middle of the season, probably before Spa-Francorchamps. And we are back well before the midway point of the season because, of course, we got our front wing design ready. So let's do the second iteration of it after the ATR period, and let's focus on what the front wing is good for. Starting with the weight, I think you should shed 2 clicks of weight in order to get 2.4 as the rest of the pieces here. That's good. And the front wing shines on low speed. So that's what we are going to aim for. Putting the rest down to the bare minimum, and airflow front, that will improve the low speed as well. So with this front wing, look at the improvement that we are going to get on every single bit of it. So of course I'm going to design this, but I'm going to use only one engineer. This is our last design, and I'm going to put the remaining engineers 3 here, why not, and 2 here, why not. Okay, so we've got our first regulation vote, which will mean after the decision of this vote it's going to be research time. And for your first season, considering the cost cap available, of course, and the money that you got available on you, you should focus research, research, and research. Research is your best friend here in this game, at least for 2 seasons. The first season for sure, the second season as well, in my view. I think you should do in the second season the same you are doing here in the first season. Doing one design only for your parts, using the ATR period on 2 of those. I recommend the underfloor and the front wing, so making a second design on the front wing and on the underfloor to get the most out of the ATR period and the expertise that you gain on the ATR period. And then once the research open, do the research, focus on research heavily, only do research. So we raced Melbourne, where we got into P18 with Marti, 20 with Theo Porcher, so achieved the goals. And we raced Suzuka, which we did P17 with Porcher, P20 with Marti. Still using the stock parts, except for Porcher's car, who is using now the brand new chassis, the level 2 of chassis here. And look at the improvement. Very, very good. Not the biggest of improvements, but a very good improvement overall. Meaning in terms of grid, he's improved a little bit on tire preservation, but he's way down on the other stuff. So I've put manufacturing wise the side pods. So we are doing 2 side pods, and I'm not going to manufacture anything else because I'm saving the remaining of the money to set our research projects. So now let me just take a look at the calendar. Yes, we are going to have the vote here, so no need to do a cut. Let's see the vote, and then let's focus on the research. With this kind of money, I think we can do 2 research. It depends on the regulation result, on the vote result. Let's see what we'll get here. We'll get here the side pods done. Okay, that's good. So we'll have a brand new part for Porcher. I'm going to focus only on Porcher, giving him his parts while we have 2 only, and then try to focus on Pepe Marti once we can manufacture some more parts. So what is the result? So we voted against the airflow change, but I think the airflow change won. So every single part is affected, some with 30%, some with 10% and 30%. Well, 30% on everyone, but some with some 10%. That's a bad regulation change, to be honest. But if we focus on research a lot, we can turn this around, and that's what I'll be doing. So we can only do one, so I'm going to take guys out of here. And 3 guys out of here. Okay, so we can have 6 guys on our first research project, which probably will be the chassis. So let's do it. And since the regulation votes hits especially the airflow middle, so that's, I'm going to improve that to the max. I'm going to reduce everything else that's not going to be affected by the regulation, and I'm going to keep the engine cooling in the middle to get almost 3%, and here almost 4% all the way to 30%. That's a lot. I don't think we are going to be able to do that in one season. Let's use the 6 engineers and let's spend another million. Good. Now, taking a look at the calendar, once again, I'm going to try to do the research in the meantime. We'll have an ATR period here, so I'm going to try to get that ATR period on the underfloor. Research-wise, I'm going to show you just that once we reach the 29th. So yeah, I'm going to do a cut here, do the Chinese Grand Prix off camera, or where I'll simulate, and you should not simulate once more. You should race, because it's low risk of crashing if you race, and you can save your powertrain parts by underfueling your car and running conserve all the way. I'm simulating, so I will have a higher risk of crashing and higher powertrain degradation there. So back on the 29th when the ATR period starts, and I'm going to do my second research project on the underfloor. So I'm back here for the practice session number 1 preparation in China, because the China is the first sprint weekend of the season. So what I've done is, despite the fact that we have brand new chassis and brand new suspension for the practice session, I'm going to choose the original one to save the better parts in the practice session. So I'm going to do the practice session and I'm going to simulate. You should do the practice session yourself, as I've been talking. So I'm going to simulate for the purpose of this guide and try to get this guide going. Completed. So we are now in the sprint, and you are not going to race any of the sprints in order to save parts. Because if we take a look here at Porsche, yeah, we can use this compound. Porsche now has a major fault on his engine, and we are going to use this engine still, because it's still the 5th round, and we want to race the engine's 6 races or higher. If you are managing each session manually, that you should do, you should be able to get a higher preservation of your powertrain parts. These numbers should be way higher by this point. If not, well, you run the risk of getting these things. I'm going to underfuel the car. I'm going to put all low possible. Still not changing the parts, because you can do that on the qualifying, and that's what I'll be doing, the qualifying for the race. So doing exactly the same here for Mr. Marti. Dropping all the way. And one other advantage of not assuming the control of the practice session is that you are dependent on the AI to set up your car. And look at this. If you use the method that I showed earlier on this tutorial, using that site, you should get 100%. But now let's race here in China, or else let's not race the sprint. And I'm going to show you what I usually do here in the sprint races, especially for the first season. And on the second season, I do that a lot as well,
and away we
to
go.
save parts. So taking off the battle assist. That's your first thing that you should do. Rarely defend low, avoid high risk curbs and driving clean air, and then choose this last tab, tires, and retire the car. Let's do exactly the same for Marti. Rarely defend, low, tires, retire the car, and your guys will do only one lap. The lap that they will go for entering the pits. So they are in the pits, and now it's all saving powertrain parts. So now, yes, I'm going to do a cut here while the sprint race is going, and I'll be back for the qualifying to show you that in the qualifying for the race you should change to your best parts, do the qualifying, do the race, and then rise and repeat.
Now we've an incident here. Kevin
Yeah,
Magnussen,
we
it
don't
looks
care.
like.
Basically, every practice session you put the worst part that you have available, the stock parts if possible, and every qualifying for the race you put the best aero parts that you've got available. The same for the powertrain parts. You put the worst on the practice sessions, you put not the worst but the parts that should race on the qualifying and onto the race itself. So now I'm going to do it, and I'll be back once
got
this
a yellow
sprint
flag
race
here.
is done. And here we are in the beginning of the third ATR period of the first season, and I'm going to use it to do the research on the other floor, taking the engineers that I put here on the front wing, because we got the underfloor done in terms of design, the second stage of it, the second design. And now research the underfloor and using all the ATR period that we got available. And look at that. By only using the ATR period without sliders, we got 13% of the airflow sensitivity. But I'm going to do even better. I'm going to put all to the left here, except for the airflow sensitivity, which I'm going to put all the way to the right, and 22%, almost fulfilling the 30% that we are going to lose due to regulation. And even so, we are getting some good improvements on our car overall, despite that putting all the way to the left. So that's brilliant. Let's continue, and let's put all our engineers, which are two, on this research process. And now we've got almost at the end of the month. We are almost able to get some more money. If we take a look at the calendar, we'll get one more race, then a research period will be over here, and then we've got the sponsor plan here, so we'll get some money. Meaning facilities, I'm not going to do anything now because we've achieved the max level on helipad, the max level on tour center. This is a little bit too expensive to do. This one is too as well, so I'm not going to touch that for the time being, but I'm going to do some development, and especially on this underfloor, the second iteration of it after the ATR period. Look at that. Look at the high speed gains, look at the low speed gains and the medium gains, even a little bit on top speed, a little bit on acceleration. Yeah, overall this is brilliant, man. So I'm going to do only one for the time being, and I can even try to do another part, which probably will be the rear wing. No, we don't have the rear wing, so probably the suspension. Only one. And basically what we gain per race is what I spend here manufacturing those parts. Good stuff. Good stuff. In a bit we can up the race target of Porsche, so getting more money in each race. So now I'm going to do a cut, and I'm going to use this strategy, meaning once we've got some money available, invest on research, and if we can manufacture some new parts, we are going to do that. But especially investing in research, of course. And I'll be back now. Yes, for sure at the middle of the season, just before we reach the Spa-Francorchamps race. So I'll see you in the middle of the season in Spa-Francorchamps, which will be in May. Nope, May is Monaco, Austria. Okay, July, at the end of July. So I'll do a cut and I'll see you in the end of July, just before we reach Spa-Francorchamps. And in Monaco is where we got our first points with Theo Porcher. 4 points, 8th place, brilliant stuff, because we got that front wing. I'm going to show you exactly what I've been working on. Pepe Marti did not finish our first DNF of the season. Hopefully the damage is not that great, but now we are P7 with 4 points, so this is guaranteed that we are going to finish P9 because we scored our first points brilliantly. Still only 1 point in the pits, that's a shame, but okay. Yeah, we only scored points with Porcher. I think we can go higher with Porcher now, getting the race target, the highest race target. That will give us 700,000, I think. And let's see what the damage was done here. Chassis. Okay, let's install a replacement. Fortunately, it was the original one. Front wing, on the other hand, it was, yeah, the original one as well. Okay, good. The rear wing, it was the best one. It was the best one, unfortunately. We had a new rear wing on him. And the other floor as well, god damn it. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. But powertrain parts, he didn't screw anything. Oh, that's good. Oh, thank God for that. He didn't get screwed on anything on the powertrain part. Good. Aerodynamics on car 1, it's all fine and dandy. So, manufacture, we are manufacturing front wing and side pods. But if we take a look here on what we've got a chassis on Porcher, look at that. We've got front wing, look at the improvement, especially on the low speed. That's why we score so high on Monaco, which is a very demanding track on low speed. Rear wing, that's a good improvement, and I'm going to do another rear wing because Mr. Pepe Marti screwed that up. Side pods, we lose a little bit of top speed, but overall it's brilliant. And look at engine cooling, so that's brilliant for saving engines. Underfloor, overall brilliant stuff on the cornering. And suspension, look at the improvement on the suspension as well, man. Especially on the tire preservation, the brake cooling, to try to avoid lockups. So overall, we've got this. We are very good on cornering, which is too OP in this game. If we take a look here at the tracks that are remaining: 9th, 7th, 10th, 8th, 5th, 9th, 8, 12, 11, 13, 4th, 8, 11, 14, 7th, and 14, meaning we can set the highest race target, which is P18 or higher. So now we are going to do a lot of money, and we are still working on research all the way. Look at this. And we don't have money now for a new research, but we are going to wait for some more money so we can do another research. So yeah, I'll probably return with some news. If not, I'm not going to return on the here on the Belgium Grand Prix, because I'm pretty sure this is a sprint weekend. No, it's not. So I'm going to return on the Belgium Grand Prix if no new news arises. If any new news, I'm going to be back sooner, but hopefully I'll be back only in the Belgium Grand Prix. So I'll see you guys in the Belgium Grand Prix, or if anything news arises. And we are back, just cutting another research for the side pods. But we are back in Budapest, in Hungary, not on Spa, because this is round 13, so past the halfway point of the season. And now we've got all parts available for our guys. As we can see here on the warehouse, we've got 4 chassis, 5 front wings, 4 rear wings, 4 side pods, 4 underfloors, and 4 suspensions. Why the 5 front wings? Because if we take a look here on car number 1, the front wing is at high risk, so preemptively we did another one, because we are going to lose that front wing soon, if not already on this race. But this is what you should do once you got the parts, both parts for your drivers. And as you can see here, you are still very good on cornering with both, so well over the P18 mark, that it's the best race target for them. So you should invest now on getting both race targets high enough for them. And if we take a look here, since the last time in Miami we did P16, P18, Imola we did P13, P19, Monte Carlo, where our first parts started to come in, especially for Porsche, we've got a brilliant P8 and DNF for Pepe Marti. We saw that. Montreal, which is another good track for the low speed cornering, we did manage a good result again. P9 Porsche is getting regular points, and P16 with Marti. And here was the point that I decided to give Marti the highest race target, because he almost got all the parts available to him. So P9 again for Porsche, P16 for Marti in Catalonia, and Spielberg P10 for Porsche, P14 for Marti. Here both guys were already with all parts available for them. And here in Spielberg, the last race, P10 and P14 once more. So if we keep this going till the end of the season, we are going... and Silverstone, of course. I forgot the Silverstone, the last race, P10 and DNF for Pepe Marti, unfortunately. So if we continue this on, we should be getting a good amount of money doing all the researches that we cannot do now because we don't have the money. But let's use these 2 engineers to put them here. Why not? Let's do it. And once we got the money, we are starting another research project. First, we are going to take a look at our finances. 27 million. I think we are still good enough to do this. Research projects to the end. And now, what you should do once you got all the parts is put the race targets the highest possible on both of our boys. Like so. Then, for the practice sessions, you should change those parts to the worst ones, so you don't strain those parts in practice session. Do that for both of your boys. Like so. Good. The same for the powertrain parts. Good. Put 30 laps. Going slow as possible. Dropping everything on the orders there. Pace orders, engine usage, and ERS usage. the same for your second driver, in this case Pepe Marti. The floor. And finally the suspension. He got a crash, so he screwed his engine a lot, but he's still going to use this engine for this race for sure. But we are going to use the worst parts that we've got available that can still race. Do 30 laps. Put it all on low. And you should manage the session, getting 30 minutes on each of your drivers. Then for each session do exactly the same, and then once you reach qualifying, so for the sake of this guide I'm going to simulate the practice sessions, but it's very important that you do the practice sessions, at least on season 1, all of them, in order to save the most amount of parts and give your drivers the most development possible during those 30 minutes, and of course using the site to give 100% car setup. As you can see, we've got only 70% around there with medium confidence to both. You should get high or very high at this point. And now on the qualifying, we are going to give them the best parts possible. Aero parts and powertrain parts. So ERS, we are going to switch this one. For the first time, we are going to debut the second DRS of the season. Do exactly the same for Pepe Marti. Pepe Marti can hold his DRS or is ERS, not DRS, ERS system for the quali. At least we'll take a look at the race. Put this engine because you have to suffer a lot because you crashed. This engine still has to endure till P12, yeah, P12, so it doesn't need to use this engine, to be honest. You can use this one. Yeah, you can use a new one. Porsche is doing well on his engines. And then you should manage, again, the qualifying sessions using the tricks and the tips and the tricks that I gave you in the first race of this tutorial, and you should be doing better than the simulation will do, and of course getting higher confidence than the simulation will give me, because we'll start with poor confidence. As you can see, medium one, you should be getting at least high and probably better starting positions, but nevertheless we are set to go. You set your race strategies. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to simulate this. And all set, all done. Let's simulate and let's see what results the boys will have. Because after this race I want to show you what we've achieved so far in terms of research, and I want to do the research as well. So let's see what the result was. P9 with Porsche. P13 with Marti, so getting all race targets completed. Porsche is now P11 on the driver standings. Pep Marti still no points. Constructor wise we are very safe here with the 7th place, 12 points. The other teams are not scoring any points. Williams, Haas, Suaber and Alpine, as I predicted at the beginning of this tutorial. Still no points here on the fastest lap, so we are only 3 points. But we are giving a contract to Jonathan Whitley, the best sporting director. So, and you should do the same, so you will have Jonathan Whitley for season 2, and he's a god. You don't need anyone else as a sporting director. 1.4 million, that's nice, and if you can attain that per race, you should be very, very fine. In 2 months' time, I think I will focus again on facilities. Porsche is improving, nice. One of our affiliates is improving, we don't care about the affiliates. We've got the mid-season board review. High confidence, because we are overachieving, so another 1.5 million, and that's very, very nice. Meaning the front wing failed as expected. Ooh, a lot of parts failed, unfortunately. Okay, that's not ideal. Did you have a crash or something? I don't think so. They all failed because of wear, I think. What about yours? Okay. The parts for Pepe Marti are good, so let's manufacture one of each to get the 4. And since our factory is level 2 only, we can do only 3 parts at a time. So then we'll do the suspension. Okay, but it's all good. And what I wanted to show you, but first I'm going to do the research. So taking one guy out of the underfloor and taking one guy out of the rear wing, and I want to do the research. We've managed to do 2 projects for the chassis, one for the front wing, one that we are doing now for the rear wing with the ATR period, one that we did with the underfloor 2, with which we are doing now, and the same for the suspension. Side pods we've got 2, so I think I will do the front wing because ATR period is 42 days and 44 estimated time. Yeah, it's going to be on the right spot. So I'm going to do this front wing and then going to use the ATR period on the front wing. You've used it on the underfloor and rear wing, and now I'm going to use it on the front wing, the next one. So good. Let's use the remaining engineers, 40 days, that's good. That's before the ATR period. Good. And finally, let me just show you what we've achieved so far. So the cooling aspect of the chassis is done, so we need still a little bit of airflow middle. We should be obtaining that at the end of the season. Front wing, we are going to do the tire preservation for sure. The airflow, it's going to be a little bit tougher, but using the ATR period we should be close to it. The rear wing, we are still doing that project, so we don't have any info on that. Side pods, we've achieved the cooling aspect, which is the good side of the side pods. Still a little bit work to be done on the airflow. The underfloor, we should be very close. Yeah, we've surpassed it even. And now the suspension is the last piece that I'm going to use the ATR period. We should be able to equalize at least the penalties that we'll have. In terms of finances, cost cap remaining, we still got 24 million, so I think we are in a good spot still. But now there's nothing much more to do regarding tips and tricks for the rest of the season. So if nothing news arise, the plan is to do the next ATR period research on the front wing, the other one research on the suspension, and if we got another one, I'm going to do it on the probably chassis. Yeah, probably chassis or even side pods. I'll decide later, but that's the plan. If keep manufacturing parts until we get 4 parts of each of the aero sections, and if we do have money, because of the sponsor plans, on the money that we gain each race week and all that jazz. I'm going to invest in facilities. But if nothing new arises, I will be back for the end of the season, probably before we start the last race, which will be here, yeah, Abu Dhabi in 6th of December. So if nothing new appears, I'm going to bring you the final race of the season, Abu Dhabi, and then I'm going to bring you the end of season number 1, and then I'll set a plan for season number 2, stopping at the middle of the season to give you an overview and what we've achieved so far. Then at the end of season number 2 we will return, and we'll be back at the beginning of season number 3 to see if we got a dominant car, and with that the guide should help you to be the best you can be here in the creator team mode. So I'll see you guys, if nothing appears, in Abu Dhabi. So a very usual event just happened here, the design center improvement. In the first season I do not recommend you to do this, despite the fact that you can run 6 projects at a time, getting 5 more engineers. I do not recommend you to do this. Why is that? Because not money wise, we got the million that they want for this, but especially because of the cost cap. 18 million, so you would blow your cost cap for sure. So no, I'm going to reject that offer. Thank you very much, but I'm going to deny it, and you should too in your first season. Second season onwards, this is a very good event and you should take advantage of that. But any other way, you should avoid doing just that. I'm taking a look at the facilities to see if anything needs refurbishment. Yeah, the helipad needs, and that's quite cheap to do, so let's do it. And that's about it. So let's keep going. Let's go into the race weekend, and yeah, nothing special will happen. So if nothing special will happen, now I will return before the Abu Dhabi race, the last race of season number 1. And here we are for the last race of season number 1, Abu Dhabi, Yas Island here. In season number 1 we've been doing so well. I've spent exactly almost of our entire cost cap without overspending, meaning avoiding fines. So only 36,000 remaining. We did very well in terms of upgrades because we were able to do 4 research with the chassis, 3 with the front wing with ATR period on it, 3 with rear wing with ATR period, 3 with the side pods, 3 with the underfloor with ATR period, and finally 3 with the suspension with ATR period as well. So overall, brilliant season, and I've been working on facilities as much as possible. I'm saving money because we are going to have about 30 million loss because of the car development for next season, so we are going to get into the negatives for sure. But as you can see, facilities, we are doing very well. Everything is fine, and especially the facilities that will give team marketability are good, up and running. So let's race this final race of the season. Nothing more I can show you here. You can see here the drivers have been developing quite well, but then after this race I'll show you the standings and I'll show you the results that we've got with our guys and the DNFs that they had. They scored some points. Marty scored in 1 race points, but he's been flirting with the P10 but not making it except for that time. Porsche has scored some points, but now on these last races the other teams have caught up with the development. So we've been P12, P13, P14 around there, but good enough to get into our target goals. So let's go to the race weekend of the last race weekend of this season number 1 on this Ultimate Guide. We are approaching the end of this Ultimate Guide. Of course, I'm going to still show you the Season 2, what you should do. And of course, Season 3, I'm going to show you the beginning of it, where we should have a very, very dominant car if you follow this guide. So, last race of the season, what you should do is put your worst parts for the practice session, the usual stuff that I've been talking about, or yapping about since the beginning of this tutorial. If you have them available, of course. These two we don't have available for a bit now. And the worst powertrain parts. As you can see, we saved enough for the entire season. Thank God for Mercedes, and thank God for almost an incident-free season for both of our guys. Marty had some incidents, but I think Porsche did not had a DNF the entire season, I think. 30 laps. You should do this on every single practice session. Yeah, and let's do exactly the same with Marty. No, we cannot do anything else with Marty. Okay, so this engine, this ERS, and finally this gearbox. We are even not using the last gearbox, so that's brilliant. Unfortunately, we cannot sell that gearbox to get some money, but okay. Set, you should manage this as always, but I'm going to simulate to qualifying for this Ultimate Guide purpose. But you should always simulate all sessions, especially on the first season. Trying to optimize as much as possible, min-maxing everything.
There's tension.
There's tension indeed. Okay, so now for the qualifying is where you are going to revert what you did in the practice session and put the best parts on your guys. Again, aero parts and powertrain parts. Like so. Good. The same for Mr. Marty. It's only the chassis and of course the powertrain parts. You could ask why I'm using this engine when this one is still good, still not yellow. That's because of the power loss threshold. So 65% is the power loss. That 58%, despite the fact that it's still white and no faults or damage on it, the power threshold is not 100%. So that's why I'm using this engine. With the gearbox we don't have that thing, as we can see. So nothing too worrisome about that. So quali, we are set with our guys. Yep. So let's simulate the race. Good. Now race day. Of course, you should set your strategies, taking a look on the compound performance as I told you earlier. That's for the purpose of this guide. I'm going to keep going and simulate the race. And let's see where we end up. Without optimizing, we did a fantastic season, overshooting our target by 2 places. We are in P7 in the constructor, and it's going to be where we are going to end. Points for Porsche once more, and Pepe Marti P11 right at the door of points, but unable to get some points. So overall standings, Max Verstappen is world champion, Lando Norris P2 and Sergio Perez P3. Porsche ended up in 11th with 44 points. Pepe Marti 14 with 2 points in only one race. Constructor-wise, Red Bull take the title. We ended up in 7th with Alpine scoring 2 points and Williams scoring 1. But the most important thing is that we've got the 7th place, which will be our target for next season. Keep that in mind. Where you end up in the first season, it's going to be your target for next one. So continue. Oof, we got some points here, but not enough to get out of the last position here on the DHL. Next season we'll have Jonathan Willey as our sporting director, so everything should be way good on that pit department. 1.4 million again, that's good. We are going to take that money to the bank and keep it there. Okay, good. So the only thing now left to do is go to the end of the season. So I will be doing a cut here, and I'll be back for the last day of December, where we are going to go into the next season and we'll have an overview of this first season overall. Last day of season number 1 is here. We've got our final sponsor plan done. Nice. And our team marketability grew a lot. Not a lot, but a little bit. We've achieved the exact goal of engagement and we overshoot the race targets. That's brilliant. Let's continue. The DHL award is going to be presented. Of course, we were dead last, so 600,000 only. This is always low for the sporting director. High confidence for the board. We should have an extra 1.5 million because of that. The positions that we already saw. The team rating is now 2 stars. So the target position was 9. We finished in 7th. We fulfilled our current long-term objective already. Porsche was the best guy. Our team principal rating grew by 200. Constructor a lot, drivers not so much, heritage not so much, and team rating a lot as well. Good. 1.5 million as I predicted. That's good because we spent some money dealing with the CFD that its condition was bad. So facility wise, now it's the design center and the suspension simulator. I should refurbish this. I'm not going to refurbish the design center because it's a lot expensive and I want to upgrade it once I have the money, so I'm going to keep that way. This is all good here. Helipad need refurbishment, unfortunately, so we dropped a little bit on our marketability here, but you should have this level of facilities for the marketability at the end of the season to give you the best chance possible in order to get the best sponsors available. So heading off to season number 2, where we are going to decide our powertrain, our sponsors and everything related to that, and we'll see what we achieved with our research focused season. So the new season target is 6. Okay, it's 1 place higher than I was expecting, but okay, let's accept it. Good, continue. Okay, 6 or above, yeah. Balance tab, we are going to start 14 million in debt. Technical wise, that's the important bit. We've achieved the chassis regulations. We did it on the front wing as well. The rear wing, yep, pretty much 3 times that. Side pods, yes, as well. Oh, no, here on the airflow we just dropped a little bit on the side pods. The underfloor should be fine, indeed, double. And the suspension should be fine as well. Indeed, very good. So only the side pods we are going to lose a little bit, but we increase in everything else. Okay, still same cost cap, no sporting changes. So let's continue and let's keep going with the Mercedes. I like the Mercedes very much because of the durability, and power-wise is not bad. So Mercedes, yes, I want to start the new season. Good. We can take a look at the messages real quick. ATR period, pit crew performance dropped a little bit, but we've managed to get them into 84 on the pit crew attributes, so that's good. So they didn't drop that much, and now we have Whitley, so everything should be fine here. Driver development, they are increasing, and first things first, you should take a look at your affiliates. No affiliates, so we are going to save a little bit money of there, and you should take a look at every single member of your staff, drivers and staff, and put them into training accordingly. So smoothness and braking is something that I want to improve now. Smoothness and braking. Oh, there's no smoothness and braking. Okay. Wheel to wheel, braking control, overtaking. No, I want the smoothness. This one. Race strategy for Porsche. For Marti, the cornering is still bad, so cornering and smoothness if possible. Okay, this one. Pretty much. Pace long runs. The engineers still work the same. It's communication and composure. This fella has 100 communication, so we should work on feedback and composure. Like this. And this guy still communication and composure. Yes, indeed. Good. And the rest of the gang. This guy has the worst stat on the side pods. And he's working on that. So good. This guy, Ricardo Santos. Still the cooling aspect, so I think the body work, yep, still. And finally, Jonathan Wheely, our brand new sporting director. Look at this, look at the beast he is. So I'm going to train training and processes, or aptitude and process, no, training and processes. This one, good. Look at this beast. And, okay, having that set, we can set our pit crew, but we can do that once we hit continue. So the first thing you should do is work on your car. You have 57 days to Sakir, and if you look at the start of this, we now have the best cooling, brake cooling, but the rest is too damn bad still. Too damn bad. Okay, so let's focus on building, on designing an underfloor using ATR period. You should always start with the underfloor using ATR period, to be honest. Good. Taking the weight off to increase even more performance. Keep it all in the middle to gain the most out of every single stat, because you are not going to manufacture that. After this, you are going to manufacture and design another underfloor. And since you are using ATR period, use all the 6 engineers. Oh, we don't have funds, of course. We need to do the sponsor package first, of course, I forgot about that. So let's do the sponsor negotiation then. Choose the best one. We've got Vela or Fera. Okay, Ferro gives a little bit less upfront, but race day is higher, and I like the race day sponsorship. Now here, try to choose the best ones in terms of stars as well. Okay, and focusing on the race day as well, like so. This gives up front, which is good. Let's go. Race day is always nice, so let's go. Driver mentality is bad. I'm not going to choose that. Thank you very much. And finally, we need some upfront some more up front. 6 million is good. 7 million is even better, but that driver development rate and driver mentality is not good. But let's hope it's for our second driver. So let's choose this and continue. 89 million, pretty much, as a sponsor package. Now we've got 11 million in the bank, so now we should design our parts, starting with the underfloor, as I did previously, with no money, but now we have the money to do so. Good. Minimum lifespan, good. 6 engineers, brilliant. And then you should work on the chassis, because it takes a long time to manufacture. Dropping all the way down. Chassis, dropping the cooling, getting the airflow middle to the top, dropping the DRS delta, and let's try to drop a little bit this. I don't want to lose anything, to be honest. So the best thing is to drop this. Okay, good. We can even increase a little bit. No, we cannot increase anymore. So this is a brilliant airflow middle improvement, especially on the medium speed and high speed cornering, and still not losing anything on the rest of the things. Use only one engineer, then you can reshuffle them again. Then I suggest you to do side pods, which will be your main source of engine cooling. Of course, dropping the weight, dropping this to the minimum, this to the minimum, and try to drop this without losing anything, like so. We are still gaining some cornering speed, but essentially the engine cooling, good. One engineer, and finally work on the suspension. This will be your first and last pieces for the entire season: suspension, chassis, and side pods wise, and even the rear wing, because you are going to use ATR period like we did in the first season on the underfloor and on the front wing, and with that we do a second iteration, a second design on it. So suspension is your source of brake cooling. So let's do it. Okay, something like this. Getting a lot of tire preservation, brake cooling, a little bit on medium and high speed, a little bit on acceleration, but the brake cooling is the main focus of this. So only one engineer, and now we'll see where we are going to assign the other engineer, probably on the suspension. So let's do it. Good. And then after you finish this, you are going to work on the rear wing and on the second design for the underfloor, and then chill, wait for the next ATR period, where you are going to do ATR period on the front wing, and then after that is done, you are going to work on the design of the front wing immediately on the second one. Manufacture once the designs are done, and then once the research period is open, focus heavily on research, especially on this second season, where you'll get a major penalty in terms of regulations. So focus heavily on the research, and you should be fine at the end of this season 2 if you follow this. With the money lying around, in the meantime, you should try to improve your facilities, but I'm going to save a lot of money probably until I get 15 million or so, in order to upgrade our design center and still have money to do the designs and manufacturing and all that jazz. Training wise, now that we've got a god with us with the name of Whitley, we should focus first on the pit stop drill to get this under 8% first. Oh, sorry, I'm going to do this like I like. Pit stop time, good. And now we can drop this to pit stop drill. Let's drop this from 8% to 7. And then you can focus on the estimated pit stop. We are almost at 8%. Well, in all honesty, I'm going to put at 80 on the pit crew attributes. So I'm going to focus that because we are under 8% now. But still, I'm going to focus on that 80% mark. Here we are. Good. So now we are going to focus on gym training a lot. Keeping an eye if we don't lose any attributes there, so good. Okay, we are losing here, meaning I'm going to do pit stop drill for 2 days. Oh, now we have to rest, sorry. So rest, and now pit stop drill again for 2 days, alongside the gym training. I like to do this. Once I get tired, I rest for a day. I think it's the optimal thing. But this guy is a god, man. Look at this. Look at the amount of training that we are capable of doing without our pit crew getting tired. Now they are tired, so 1 day of rest. And let's do 2 days on gym training and pit stop drill, just to secure our 80 pit crew attribute there. Like so. Ooh, even 91, okay. But still pit training. Look at this, we are improving 5/10 already, 5/100s already on the estimated pit stop. Now we are tired, rest. Okay, good. And now the final 2 days we can focus on gym training. Great stuff. So at the end of this month we'll have 5 more pit crew attributes and 6/100ths less in terms of pit stop, almost under 2.5 seconds already on the pits. Good. Let's continue. And now you should follow my advice. Try to work on facilities, work on research once the research period is open. Do only 2 pieces for the front wing and underfloor, and only 1 piece for the rest of the car parts, and you should be fine for the second season. But we are going to check out our progress here in this guide. Once I'm about to reach Hungary, which is about the halfway point mark of this season, of every season in fact, I'll be back and we'll take a look on everything we've achieved so far. Here we are, halfway point of the season after just finishing Hungary. Here Porsche got 4th place and Pepe Marti 12, so doing very well. If we take a look at the driver standing, Porsche is at 10th place, we're having 2 places now, and Pepe Marti with only 1 point scored in the season. Constructor wise, we are in 7th, so we are in a good position. The board wants us to finish 6th, but 7th is not bad at all. Ultimate Guide here in the pits are doing quite well in 2nd, so we are fighting for this title finally, because we've got that god Jonathan Whitley as our sporting director. And about halfway point of the season you should be doing kind of similar. If you are managing every single session, you should be doing way better than me, maybe on your target position. Despite that, the board should be quite happy indeed. They have high confidence, giving us another 1.5 million. So I've been working, of course, on research after we've just done. Let me just switch around this front wing. And what about this front wing at high risk? So let's preemptively do another one. But as you can see, I have, let me just take a look here in the warehouse. I have 4 chassis for the 2nd design. Front wing, we've got 3 designs, 4 of those on the 3rd. Rear wing, 2 designs. Side pods, 2 designs. Underfloor, 3 designs. And suspension, 4 designs. In terms of research, we've been doing quite well. Of course, you should be doing research for the 2nd season. Can I see here what we've achieved so far? Probably we won't have a complete picture, but you can take a look at what I've done so far. So still a little bit to go on the chassis. Front wing the same. Rear wing the same. Side pods quite the same. Underfloor will be the best one because we've used ATR period on it, as you can see, but it is where we are going to lose the most. So probably I'll use 2 ATR periods on the underfloor, and suspension is like this. So having that said, taking a peek on our drivers here. Porsche in terms of career on this season, no wins, no podiums, no DNFs. Where can I see the DNFs really? But I don't think Porsche has DNFs. Pepe Marti, 1 point, no wins, no podiums. But I don't... Where can I see the DNFs of those guys, man? Not sure, but I think Pepe Marti has got a DNF. Meaning we've been lucky in this season, since I'm simulating, and simulating you have a higher chance of DNFing. But as you can see, in terms of aero parts, we've been doing great. Engine wise, we still got 2 engines only used, and about halfway point of the season, so that's brilliant. ERS, we are using now the 2nd one. And gearbox wise, for the Porsche, we are going to use our 3rd gearbox now. And the same here for Mr. Marti. We are going to use our 3rd engine now. ERS the same. And gearbox quite well for Marti. Way better than Porsche, to be honest. Avoiding the sprint, and you should avoid doing the sprint on your 2nd season. You are not going to fight for win. You are only trying to survive once more, trying not to buy any other powertrain part, and investing on research, and trying to get facilities. I've been upgrading the design center to level 3. In 3 days it's going to be done. I've been refurbishing every single one in the meantime that degrades. upgrading the team hub, upgrading the race simulator, and hospitality area. It's a little bit now degraded, so I'm going to upgrade it as well. That's a lot of money, but it's well worth it because team marketability, and it's going to be ready for the end of the season. That's the most important bit. So our team marketability will be very, very high for next season, hopefully getting a good sponsor out of that. Having that said, I don't think we need to talk anymore about this in terms of halfway point of the season. So now I'll keep simulating the rest of the season. Hopefully we can get one more place and reach our target. And I'll be back for the last day of season number 2, where we are going to talk about what I have achieved here in season number 2, what I've done in terms of anything out of the ordinary, and we'll be talking about then the start of season 3, where I should, and you should if you are following this guide, have a very, very dominant car comparing to the grid. But yeah, we'll see. For now, I'm going to do a cut, and I'll see you guys in the final day of season number 2. I'm back right after Spa, which is the race after Hungary. So because I forgot to show you the car performance that we've got after doing those parts, those 2 iterations for the front wing, 2 iterations for the underfloor, and only 1 iteration on the other parts. So as you can see, cornering wise, we are one of the best cars. So that's why we've been doing so well, and with the research that we are doing for next season and the regulations hitting hard, we should be very, very, very good on next season, very dominating. But the other thing that I wanted to show you guys is right after Hungary. It's a little bit late now, but still well within our target, because this is the first day of the summer break. But you should do this after Hungary to have a little bit more time to work things out. You should now renew the contracts or sign new guys if you need it. In the case of our team, we don't need it because still 1 year left on every single one, meaning 2 more seasons. For the staff, exactly the same. Jonathan Willie with a long contract. But just to show you what you should do in terms of negotiation. Oh boy, I can talk. Let's try to. Antonelli has 1 year left. Yeah, let's try to sign Hajar, who is a free agent in this case. So what you should do, let's put him as an affiliate. Good. Immediately, no, let's work on next season. Let's give him a big contract, like 5 seasons, why not? And signing bonus. Currently, okay, this game was fixed on patch 1.5, I see. So you should give him a good signing bonus, like 300,000, why not? I'm going to give him 1 million of salary. He's not too keen on that, so 1.5 maybe. The offer deadline, we could decrease this like to 14 days, and let's up his signing bonus to 1 million, why not? I'm going to send you 1 million in your way. And then you should increase your breakout multiplier by playing with these numbers, giving a higher salary or a higher signing bonus in order to get that multiplier all the way up. But for the purpose of this guide, I'm going to put it at 0, so he's going to be quite satisfied. I think he's going to accept this. Let's offer the contract. And that's it in terms of proposals, contract proposals. There's not much to not much going on there, so pretty straightforward, and you should be quite well with that kind of contracts, and you should have a very, very good team for season number 3, and of course a very dominant car. But we'll see just that right after the last day of this season, which now I'm going to do a cut, and I'll be back for the 31 of December of this season number 2. Less sponsor contract or sponsor review, because this is the last day of the season. We increased our team marketability a lot. We fulfilled every engagement and overshoot it. The same with the race targets, overshoot it by a lot. So we got a lot of money in this season. DHL, we ended up in the 2nd place, so almost 11 million. Yeah, this is always low, I don't know why. High confidence to the board, so we should get 1.5 million from the board, despite the fact that we didn't get the target of 6th place. We only ended up in 7th. You can do way better if you manage your races and micromanage things. Yeah, we increased a little bit on the team rating. Yeah, we didn't get our target, but we fulfilled our long-term objectives. We dropped a little bit on the team principal rating, but we increased on the constructor, we increased 1 on the heritage, and increased a little bit on the team rating as well. Yeah, 1.5 million, nevertheless, good show. So, regulation change, we'll see how well we did there in terms of research. And what should I show you next? Probably the drivers. You can take a look on which driver are the best at the end of season 2. Theo Porcher is there. In the middle of the season they tried to poach us one of our staff, which is George Brown. We did manage to renew his contract, because George Brown is the best technical chief around. Yep, even better than Pierre Wache. And yeah, how many podiums? I think we did only 1 podium with Porcher, indeed, 1 podium, and no podiums at all with Marti. He did struggle to score some points, 8 points only. So in the general standings, it was 7 for us. Drivers 11 to Porcher, 16 to Marti with 8 points only. We tied with Williams, so we were lucky that the game put us in 7th place here. And yeah, that's about it in terms of the end of season 2. Let's get into season number 3, starting with the powertrain manufacturer and all that overview of the season number 2. And for that, I'm going to keep using the Mercedes. Yes, accept a new target. Continue. 6 or above. We'll try to do it. Balance-wise, we have positive this time around. Technical, let's see what we've achieved. Okay, we are going to lose a little bit on the chassis still. We are going to lose on everything. This is a major overhaul, major regulation changes, so there's no chance you can do much better than this. Side pods. The other floor we'll see last, because it's the one that I invested most. And as you can see, we lose just a tiny bit on the side pod, on the underfloor. So that's brilliant. We should have a dominant car, hopefully. And yeah, powertrain, okay, Mercedes. Yes, starting with 4.5 million. And now at the beginning of this season number 3, your objective would be continue work on the facilities, especially try to upgrade here the car development facilities, as you can see, we are doing quite well. I've improved a little bit on the facilities on Season 2. And of course getting hospitality area to level 5 before the end of the season, so we'll get the most amount of team marketability possible. And let's take a look. ATR period, yeah, we know that. Driver development, our drivers have been developing quite well. Smoothness for Marti, that's good. And now the most important thing will be, what's this message? Okay, the car. What we got for the car? Okay, third overall. We are arguably the best cornering car. Dirty air tolerance, which is something that we are not going to focus that much. We are very good. The cooling aspect, I was thinking that we should do better, but okay. But with newer parts, you are going to get a good amount of performance, and in this third season you should be able to battle with Red Bull for the constructor title and with one of your drivers to become world champion. So you should, as always, start with the underfloor, the design of the underfloor, using all the ATR period. And if you want to get a long save, what I would recommend you to do is do exactly the same like you did in Season 1 and Season 2, meaning the ATR period on the underfloor, sorry, designing a second iteration of the underfloor once you can, then only one iterations for the chassis, the suspension and the side pods and the rear wing, and then do exactly the same like you did in the underfloor with the ATR period for the front wing and making a second design for it, and sticking with that for the rest of the season. You should be able to achieve the targets that the board set, in our case 6, with that dominant car that we have already. Not dominant, but very good car that we've got already. And then focus again, research once the research period is open, focusing a lot on it, working on your facilities, so you'll get more money to work on your facilities as well. And in season number 4 you should be very dominant with easy wins with more than 10 seconds, 15 seconds to the third car, scoring in every single weekend P1, P2, of course, meaning that you don't have any incidents in race. But if you want to play the long game, I would recommend you to do that. If you want to try to topple Red Bull in this season number 3, you should design, and a good rule of thumb, let me put just the engineers here just to show you what I'm going to give you an advice on. If you see here, the finances wise, we've got 120 million on the remaining cost cap. So until you reach about 40 to 45 million remaining, do the design. Focus heavily on the design of all parts, the 6 parts, and then when you reach 45 to 40 million, do the research. Of course, you should do research before the 45 million just to secure the regulation changes, or at least to try to mitigate that. But after reaching the 45 mark, you should focus only on research so you don't go over the cost cap. But that's a lot of money, and you should be good to, in this third season, whichever your objective is, topple the Red Bull by focusing on the design, or playing the long game and have a very dominant car in season number 4 by doing exactly the same strategy that you've done in season number 1 and season number 2, only doing one design iteration for each part, 2 for the parts that you are going to use ATR period. My recommendation, underfloor first, front wing next, and then research while improving your facilities. But that's it for this ultimate guide. This has been a very long episode, but I think I've covered everything, and if you follow this guide, you should now dominate the create a team mode, probably the hardest mode that the franchise of F1 Manager thrown at us players. Yeah, pretty much the two previous games were too damn easy. Even when they debuted the difficulty settings on hard, the game was too easy, and you can see even the created team mode, but using hard in terms of difficulty, you can see if I do make a save here, on the ultimate guide, hard, and you can, even though you can dominate or be very competitive at the beginning of season 3, and if you want be a very dominant force for many decades after season number 4, if you keep focusing on research on season 3. But that's it. That's the end of this guide. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and leave me some comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. My name is TituElite. I hope to see you in my playthroughs of F1 Manager. Check the channel because I have a couple of them from the 23 game and now on the 24 game, and I'm going to do some more challenge on this game, of course. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye and take care.